play. Limited to one entry per person and one prize winner per family or household per contest every 30 days. Employees of Capital Broadcasting, its agencies, sponsors, subsidiaries, other broadcast companies, and immediate families of the above are ineligible to play. Winners are verified, complete documentation, and are responsible for all taxes and prizes received. All prizes are non-transferable and cannot be redeemed for cash. Winners give Sports Radio the right to publicize his or her name, likeness, or voice. Sports may change contest rules and prizes at any time and holds no liability for canceled or postponed events. Complete info of Sports Radio contests available at WRALSportsFan.com or during normal business hours at 3100 Highwoods Boulevard in Raleigh.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
That dog does not want to be petted.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Your old or broken phone can let you down, but at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence with a new line on My Plan and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. After all, you don't want your old phone to die on you when you're lost.
Perfect.
Or for your broken phone to glitch at the worst possible time.
Hey, can I get your number? Oh.
Trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Beautiful afternoon out there. Partly cloudy skies. High temperatures in the low to mid 60s. It's still a cold night tonight. We drop down into the mid to upper 30s under clear skies, but gorgeous tomorrow. Mostly sunny with a high of 70.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb and Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 165 points to 43,594. Market update brought to you by Habitat for Humanity Restores. Habitat for Humanity Restores have a huge selection of high-quality building materials at a fraction of regular retail cost. Come shop and save on your next project. Find locations at trianglerestores.org. This hour of the drive brought to you by Enbridge Gas, formerly Dominion Energy North Carolina Gas. Dominion Energy North Carolina Gas customers are now proudly served by Enbridge Gas. Looking forward to a bright future together. To learn more, visit enbridgegas.com.
Powell gets it back after he kicked it to Davis. Drives and hammers it home. Hello, young fella. Cadeau kicks it to Jackson. Corner three. Count it, baby. Jackson holds it back against Murray. Gracious, there's the highlight as he splashes in the triple. As Lubin has it high post. Handoff to Cadeau. Lobs it back to Lubin. What a violent finish on a beautiful play. Cadeau pitches in the corner to Withers. Catch and shoot triple. This time, good in the foul. Withers knocks in another.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Happy new week to everybody. I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox producing the show, as he always does. Today is a Monday, so let's just get the preview out of the way. Monday Soundoff, we will open up the phone lines for you at 3:30. 919-860-5326. Bookmark it now, because about 3:30 we'll open up the phone lines for all of your sounding off. You want to brag? This was a good weekend for Triangle College basketball.
The Victory Monday.
It is for everybody.
Yeah, for everyone.
Which means I think like the trash talk amongst the Triangle is all good now, right? Because there's 3 wins for the women's basketball teams, the Triangle ACC squads, 3 wins for the men's ACC squads in the Triangle, which means nobody is at the moment tossing rocks from a glass house. They all have at least something that they're momentum that they're riding at the moment. So it should be fun. Again, like I said, Monday Soundoff. Canes, maybe not as exciting, not as positive over the weekend. But we'll take the calls. There's some news out of Panther off-season facilities. That's all going to go on Monday Soundoff, 919-860-5326. Bookmark it now. We'll take those calls in about a half hour. Right now, let's talk about, I should say, one of the schools that didn't have much to brag about until recently, but they're turning things around, potentially. North Carolina Tar Heels men's basketball. Here's the question. We're going to do our best to try to answer it. Here's the question. Is UNC turning a corner? Did something click? Are they turning something around? Or does it just look that way because they're playing some of the bottom end of the ACC competition for a stretch?
Is it all fool's gold?
Is it all fool's gold? Are you tall or are others shrinking around you? 3 straight wins. Syracuse, NC State, Virginia. First of all, 3 straight wins, fantastic. And there's some other stats analytically that make it seem like you're turning a corner. However, that right there, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia, not exactly the 1927 Yankees, meaning not Murderer's Row. So you have to decipher what's real and what, to use Dennis's term, is fool's gold. I'll tell you this right now. Eye test, they have flashed Carolina basketball. There's been moments where you're watching it and you forget that this has been an exceptionally down year. You just see the Carolina blue, you see the cool sneakers, they're getting up and down, and you're like, hey, this looks familiar. There's also moments where you're like, wow, that other team really can't shoot, huh? Well, they're not really making their jumpers, are they? Like, it's a little bit of both. Now, here's the argument that they've turned a corner. They are doing something different. It's not the definition of insanity. It's not doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for different results. It's not bashing your head against a wall thinking, this time my head won't hurt. They're playing a bigger lineup more often. Now, the person bearing the brunt of that has mostly been somebody like Elliot Cadeau, who's playing less minutes than he's played really this entire season and even most parts of last year. But because with R.J. Davis and Cadeau and Trimble on the floor, they are just an inherently undersized perimeter group. By playing Cadeau less, you get larger individuals on the floor. For the most part, that's been Drake Powell, a guy who I and the show have been advocating for more minutes for a long time. When he gets out there, they're a different squad. Hubert Davis, the head coach, talked about Drake Powell's length, specifically on defense, and how that benefits them.
Defensively, he can rebound, he can shoot threes, he can attack the basket, finish above the rim, get second chance opportunities, knock down free throws. And so I think the combination with him and Witt give us a really nice, big, athletic lineup that really helps us on both ends.
It does. It helps you on both ends not have to cover for people. And it's, by the way, it's not just getting Drake Powell in more. They're playing more lineups with Jalen Withers and Van Allen Lubin on the floor at the same time. They're just working more size onto the floor. And like I said, against Syracuse, NC State, and Virginia, it's working. Withers is knocking down outside jumpers. 4 of 6 this past game.
Yeah, just a traditional stretch 4, looking like it.
It is another one of those moments. We've got a few of these in the ACC. You're telling me you could do that? That.
Wait a second.
But it does. It just puts more height, more size on the floor, which makes it so R.J. Davis is less of a liability just from a size perspective. Elliot Cadeau, less of a liability from a size perspective. It's something different. Again, going back to our original question. Mm-hmm. Is that the eureka moment? Are we going to look back at the UNC season and have there be pre-playing the big guys more and post-playing the big guys more? Or does it just seem like that little tweak is fixing everything because you made that little tweak and then played a lower stretch of the ACC? And by the way, I don't think we're going to get an official answer on this for a little bit because their next game's at Florida State. That's tonight. Then they play versus Miami. They're horrendous. Then you play at Virginia Tech. middle of the pack might be a generous way to describe Virginia Tech this year. And then you get Duke. So, I mean, they could be 6-0 going into the Duke game, and I'm still sitting here going, did they turn a corner, or are they just playing bad competition? It's the curse of the ACC this year. You're not going to get big wins. You're not going to get tough tests unless you're playing one of three schools. Duke is one of them, and they play them at the end of the year, and then you would expect them to eventually run into at least a Clemson, a Louisville, somewhere in the ACC tournament, and that is where we'll start answering questions. But I don't think there's a doubt that UNC has not been, I'm talking past tense, good enough this year. But we have also seen teams find the switch and flip it late in a season. Matter of fact, UNC did it in Hubert Davis's first year. Right? And people tend to remember that season only for where it finished. They were not a high seed. They made it to the Final Four. They made it to the national championship game. They had the wins over Coach K. They had the lead at halftime of the national championship game. That was a late switch for them. That was they figured something out late season.
Around this time.
Exactly. We saw with NC State last year. I know they don't want to be compared, but it is possible. The only piece of advice, right, because play the big guys, don't play the big guys. It's got to be an observation. It's got to be an inside decision from the coaches. The only piece of advice is the other thing that has coincided with this turn is it seems like they've gotten a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Right? It coincided with this uptick in play is it seems like the program as a whole got sick and tired of everybody saying how much they're struggling and how bad they are and how this isn't a Carolina team. And Hubert Davis had the comments on his radio show about how, and he was talking like structure and GMs and structure of the front office. The old Carolina way wasn't working anymore, and that blew up. It seems like that was a moment where everybody went, you know what, forget it. And I kind of like that, right? Stay with the I'm not answering questions. Be a little hostile with the outside world. If that's what it takes to get your juices flowing enough to play like you've played the last 3 games, do it every time. Make up quotes, right? Have Hubert Davis in the pregame huddle. Did you see what this team said about you? No. What did they say? They said you stink. They said you can't, walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't know. Whatever it takes to get your team riled up. Hubert Davis, one more quote here, one more soundbite, talked about the energy surrounding the team is different during their recent stretch.
I talked about the quietness of this team. Well, the level of quietness has, like the noise has gone up. Like just in shoot around today, and they were, yelling and jumping around. And at the beginning of the year, it was, I had to start it. And today, I just got to sit and watch it. And so the joy of being here, the joy of being together as a team and trying to become the best that we can be has really gotten better. And as I said before, it's always been a group that has enjoyed being together and being a team. From the start, the chemistry is a 10 out of a 10. They love being around each other.
Whatever it takes to get you into that mind space. Be loud, be angry, be whatever it is to get your team going.
He said and later on in the press conference on Saturday, he said that he's kind of poked the bear a little bit with guys at practice, like challenging them a little bit more, like getting them riled up a little bit more at practice, challenging them. I'm like, you know what? If that's what it takes. That's what it takes.
That would be like Christmas Day for me as a coach. When I recognize that I can poke the team and they respond well, it's like, oh, let's go. You get to be just like an antagonist. You get to go out there. How am I going to rile them up today? That sounds like a good time rather than other teams. And by the way, there's good teams in both kind of archetypes. Some teams you got to coddle and you got to make sure everybody's on the – no, if you can rile them up and that makes them play better, heck yeah, let's go. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. If you have UNC basketball takes or takes on anything else, we'll be opening up the phone lines for a Monday Soundoff at 3:30, so we're about 18 minutes away. Monday Soundoff will be coming up in about 18 minutes. We also still have to talk about another ACC team that's hoping a recent win turned a corner for them. I'll tell you who that is in a minute, but first, here's Dennis Cox.
Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. Folks, spring's right around the corner. Have you stepped outside today? You looked outside? Spring is right around the corner. Imagine when things warm up, you're just cruising around town on your brand new motorcycle. That could be you. Simple, folks. Go to caniacsbike.com. Simple way to enter. Go to caniacsbike.com to win a custom Caniacs motorcycle. That's right. The Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, Shiny Side Paint, and the Carolina Hurricanes, they're all teaming up once again to give one lucky fan a custom Canes motorcycle. But believe it or not, folks, it's almost March. Deadline to enter is actually pretty close away. It's April 6th. That's a lot closer than you think, folks. So don't wait. Go to caniacsbike.com to enter for this custom-built motorcycle, custom-painted motorcycle. It's an absolutely gorgeous bike. Again, just go to caniacsbike.com to enter. It's going to be given away on the ice the last home game of the year. It'll be pretty cool. Go to the game, on the ice, they hand you the keys, brand new motorcycle, all yours, custom built. Go to caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
What other Triangle team got a win over the weekend that they're hoping flips a switch? Stick around. Up next on The Drive.
Move your sports day forward.
You know, the need for John Shire's Duke Blue Devils team to roll white hot into the ACC tournament and blow through the bracket is clearly evident. The selection committee is only putting in 4 teams and suggesting Duke might not even be a number 1 seed. I'm not sure what more they can do at this point to grab respect. I suppose juggle flaming swords?
Get set up. Join Next Up with Paul Ihander. Mornings at 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With a Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Taylor 10 on the ticker. Leaves it left for McNeil. Bryce fired 3. Yes, sir! Left wing, Paul McNeil.
McNeil 5-0.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. The highlight gave away our other team that's hoping to build off of what they did over the weekend. NC State beat Wake Forest, which is kind of equally as big of a potential moment for NC State as it is darn near a backbreaker for Wake Forest. But we'll focus on State for the moment. And if you have takes on either State, Wake, questions, comments, whatever it is, Monday Soundoff coming up here at 3:30. We'll open up the phone line, so get ready for that. Here's what it felt like watching NC State. Not just this most recent game, but over the last 4. What was our number one question for the first half of the season regarding NC State?
Who are you?
Well, who is the identity, or who's your go-to scorer? Right? The if we were having like a theoretical, like a freshman psychology class, then it was like, what are you? And if we were having like a freshman math class, we're looking at like calculus or whatever, then the question was, who's your go-to scorer? Right? If we're talking X's and O's, who's the guy that when you need a bucket you go to? And we asked it, and we thought maybe it was Marcus Hill, and maybe it was Jaden Taylor, and maybe it was Brandon Huntley-Hatfield. And at times it was like, should it be Ben Middlebrooks? Like there was just all of these questions regarding it. Could it possibly be that they had that guy the entire time and it was just hiding right kind of, I don't even want to say hiding. It was out there in the open and for some reason they missed it? Could it possibly be, ready? We're talking about a go-to scorer, okay, putting the ball in the hoop. Could it possibly be that they had a potential go-to scorer and that was the guy that scored 71 points to break the North Carolina State high school single game record last year? That's Paul McNeil, their freshman. How crazy would it be if the guy that had scored more points in a single game than anyone that has ever played North Carolina high school basketball might be a guy you should potentially see if he could be the scorer you need? Paul McNeil, in his last 4 games, has scored 52 points. 24 of them came in the win against Wake Forest. Double figures in 3 of the last 4. Those were in the 4 most recent games he's played. Do you know how many points he scored in the 16 games first? Like his first 16 appearances?
Not that many.
28 points.
Yep.
He scored 24 against Wake. That is a new and interesting development for NC State. For a bunch of reasons. But first, scoring the basketball is hard, and if you have a guy that can do it, and it's not like Wake is a bad defensive team, if you have a guy that can do it, that changes everything. Here's Kevin Keats, the head coach, on McNeil growing into a complete player.
Well, he's grown, man. God, if you would have saw him the first month or 2, man, what a talented high school scorer. But, couldn't guard anybody, didn't have, any interest in guarding anybody, really wasn't making his shots, wasn't in shape, really loved college basketball. I mean, really loved college life, NC State. Like, I had to bring him in at one point. It's like, man, are you partying every night? But that's what freshmen do. But the maturity that he's gotten better, and he's grown, and he's doing it through practice. And all 3 of our freshmen, they show up every day for about an hour before practice and get a lot of shots in and staying consistent. And obviously it's starting to pay off for him. So I'm happy for him. I trusted him, obviously, the way he was playing, and I thought he did a good job finishing the game.
How about that? Right, I'm sitting here going, why didn't they get to – I mean, that's one of those things where it's sometimes you just have to trust the coach. Why wasn't he getting a ton of shots earlier in the season? And he's going like, I don't know. I had to talk to him about just being on campus. I had to talk to him. Okay, I didn't know. I wasn't aware of that. Never mind.
Hey, Paul, there's 2 sides of the floor. You got to be able to play on both.
He's like, I trade 3s for 2s. I win this. All right, well, we're going to talk about that, and maybe by the end of the year we can get you some shots. Here's McNeil on earning the coach's trust and getting the chance to start and obviously play a different role.
It was hard, man, just coming in as a freshman, trying to learn the ways. And he see me building, he see me working, he see me trying, and he trusted me, and it's paying off. So it's just one game I had good. I'm just trying to keep going, stay humble, be blessed about it.
So talking about light bulbs going off, You really hope that's a light bulb moment for Paul McNeil, right? Oh, I can score. Oh, I can do this. But in order for coach to give me those opportunities, there's a certain checklist of other things that I have to do to earn that right. Now I'm going to take care of all of that. I'm going to do all the extras, and I'm going to get the shots. And that's where my natural scoring ability, the 71 per game or in a single game scorer from high school, can come out. If that happens, you hope it's not too late for State. If he becomes a guy that you can depend on to be a legit scorer, having that main character scorer role filled allows so many other players on the roster to go back to just doing what they do best. Michael O'Connell can be an elite setup guy like he was against Wake. What was it, 13 assists?
Career high.
Baker's dozen?
Yeah.
He can go back to focusing on that if he doesn't have to worry about scoring. If he doesn't have to worry about, well, I keep setting these guys up, they're missing the shot. If he's setting up scorers and they're scoring, yeah, go get a Baker's dozen of assists. Dontrez Styles can be a shooter and play off of someone else, which is when we've seen him be at his best, right? He's the guy that, like, has 15 points on mostly catch and shoot. Then the next game, he feels like he has to be a creator, and he's shooting off the dribble. He's trying to beat guys to the bucket, and then he finishes, 3 of 14. If he can be a guy that plays off of someone else, it makes him better. Ben Middlebrooks can go back to making the dirty plays, the offensive rebounds, the junk buckets. Jaden Taylor, Marcus Hill, Brandon Huntley-Hatfield, maybe roles reduced a little bit because those were guys trying to fill that main scorer role. But if McNeil does it more efficiently, you let him. You hope it's a light bulb moment for the freshman. You hope it's a light bulb moment for the team. And then the third hope, you hope it's not too late. Because there's still, they could play better down the stretch and still not even make the ACC tournament.
Wednesday's big. They play Syracuse, who's literally one spot ahead of them.
I'm not going to say this now because I take this term seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Must-win potential.
Oh, it has to be.
Must-win potential.
Absolutely.
I'll do the math and see how it all plays out, but you'll likely hear that phrase on Wednesday. Big game in the ACC. And you'll likely get Paul McNeil in the starting lineup playing big minutes and getting a lot of shots. I don't see how you don't after he's been kind of lighting it up the last 4 games.
Guess what? You're not going to surprise anybody now.
True. And that's the next – that's just going to keep happening and happening and happening. And that's when Michael O'Connell and I just mentioned Dontrez Styles, you have to do enough to keep people honest and not just focusing on one guy.
McNeil did say, he said found about 10 minutes or so before the game. Maybe he was referring to maybe before they went out for warm-ups, but so he found out about 10 minutes before the game, hey, you're starting, buddy.
I like that move from Coach too.
Oh, yeah.
Don't give a freshman time to dwell on it and overthink it.
Yeah, can't think about it. Oh, I'm starting? All right, let's go.
Imagine being like his friends and family.
Yeah.
Just settling in and wait, he's out to start the game?
Yeah.
This is out of it. Everybody get to the TV. Everybody. I would have gone if I would have known.
I was there covering the game, and we saw the starting lineup. We got ahead of time, and me and a couple other people that were other media members were like, wait, McNeil starting?
Let's go.
And I said, hey, I've been clamoring for the young guys to play more. I was like, all right, cool. So it was Marcus Hill that didn't get the start, but good on him. A great first performance. Gosh, he gets a tip in right to start the game, then a 3-pointer, then an offensive rebound and assist. He factored it in the first 8 points of the game. Before you know it, Steve Forbes is like, all right, I need time out here, guys.
And we've talked about it. State has nothing to lose at this point.
No.
Play the young guys. If they make rookie mistakes and it costs you, it's not like the veterans weren't making the mistakes that cost you as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I've been promising it all day. We'll make good on it right now. We're opening up the phone lines. 919-860-5326. It's the Heister Automotive Group hotline. 919-860-5326. Call in with your Monday sound-offs. If you have a college basketball take, any team. If you have a NFL offseason take, a Canes take. 919-860-5326. Heister Automotive Group hotline. It is open for you. Call in now. It's coming up next.
Caniacs, get ready for Iced Tea, a brand new podcast that gives you the behind-the-scenes stories from the Carolina Hurricanes. You watch the game back?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the time.
And are you hard on yourself?
Oh, God, yeah.
Any of the players ask for their crust off?
We do have one player that I cut the crust off, and I individually wrap it for him.
Your name is on the Stanley Cup.
It's the best trophy in sports.
Follow Iced Tea with Megan LaMontagne in any podcast app or watch the show on YouTube.
You know what's fun about Ram Truck Month at John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Lillington? Nothing if it's not you behind the wheel of a brand new 2025 Ram 1500. With savings as much as $15,000 off a new 2025 Ram 1500, you can have all the fun driving this powerful, rugged truck built for work, play, and everything in between. So get off your keister and get to Heister today. Hurry to Ram Truck Month at John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Lillington.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What? You expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling. Quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
This is what WRAL weather coverage sounds like.
Thunderstorm warning right now in the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
When your safety is a priority.
An indication that there is a tornado on the ground, so get in your safe spot
in this area, get in your safe spot right now.
With the tools that make a difference.
WRAL Storm Tracker is inside the storm.
WRAL has the only dual Doppler radar in Wake County.
Hear it and see it every day.
It looks like the storm is doing exactly what we predicted to do.
That's WRAL News. Weather coverage you can count on.
Ball stolen. Here's flag. Here comes Joe Tate. Wham! With the right hand. Cobra flag.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. This is one of my favorite times of the week, and I haven't gotten to do it in a long time. I was out on paternity leave for 2 weeks, so I missed some Mondays. So the Heister Automotive Group hotline, our phone lines are open right now for your call-ins, 919-860-5326, whatever you want to talk about, react to, challenge us on. The world truly is your limit. 919-860-5326. Call in now, Heister Automotive Group hotline. It is a Monday sound-off for the next little bit here on The Drive. We'll start with Dean in Rocky Mount. I'm in my notes here. It says Dean wants to sound off on NC State. Dean, thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
What a weekend this weekend. You start off with Paul McNeil getting his first start as a freshman and beating Wake. but the main thing was yesterday in Reynolds Coliseum, the Wolfpack put up 104 points to beat number 1 ranked Notre Dame with College Game Day in the house. That is despite the fact that College Game Day, all the people on the panel picked against NC State, but in the second overtime, both of Notre Dame's stars fouled out of the game. That was a great game. It's one, in my opinion, probably the game of the century for women's basketball. It was amazing. And if you were watching that game yesterday and you came away not liking women's basketball, I don't think there's anything we can do for you here. I don't know how we can help you fix that issue. But it was just an amazing game. And the Pack now on Wednesday, in a must-win game, have a chance to put themselves in the driver's seat to make the ACC tournament.
Dean, you don't think there's – and by the way, that game was absolutely awesome. But you don't think there's a little recency bias calling it the game of the century when it was a regular season in conference game that didn't even decide the regular season champion?
I mean, it went to 2 overtimes, a 104-point score, and it was an upset of the number 1 team in the country and what might be one of the best basketball atmospheres that's ever been in that game because it was loud, it was rocking, it became unglued there. It's up there. If it's not, it's up there. It's definitely top 5. But it was an amazing game, amazing environment, and the Wolfpack pulled out the victory over the Irish.
All right, Dean, we appreciate it. Thanks for calling in as always. By the way, that game was bananas. I'm not downplaying it. I'm just saying game of the century might be a little over the top, but Isaiah James, Zoe Brooks, there's some performances there that'll be remembered for a long time by NC State women's basketball fans. Next up on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, which is open for your calls, 919-860-5326. Call in with your reactions to anything in sports. Isaiah in Wake Forest wants to sound off on UNC. So let's go ahead and hear some Tar Heel talk from Isaiah. Isaiah, thanks for calling in. What do you have?
Yeah, thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to talk about, first I wanted to say I've been calling for the Heels to play bigger for a while now. And then they started, I've wanted Jay Witt to be out there with Lubin or Washington for a while, and they now have started using him with Powell at the 3, and that's what he came here to play. He can come to play the 4. He's a good player all around, but he can't play the 4 like he can the 3, and that opens up a lot more possibilities. And we've played a lot better in the past 3 games. I don't know if it's just because we're playing bad teams. I guess we'll see when we play Duke, but that's just what I wanted to say.
Appreciate the call. Call back in anytime. Which, by the way, phone lines are open, 919-860-5326, Heister Automotive Group hotline for all your sounding off. I'll build off of what Isaiah was saying there quickly. Drake Powell at the 3, then this is going to sound crazy about UNC. Size can become an advantage because he's 6'6" and really plays taller than that because of his quick twitch athleticism and his leaping ability. Then you have like other teams' small forwards get smothered by somebody like Drake Powell, and obviously he has guard skills and can shoot and brings a bunch of other things to the table. So it does sway the tables in a way that UNC has not done so this year.
And I think also it allows you, if he's playing the 3 and you have Ian Jackson as the shooting guard and you put R.J. Davis at the point, I think that's when they're most effective offensively, I think, just because putting Drake Powell and Ian Jackson on the floor together is vital. And
I'll again, just build off it even further. Ian Jackson can handle the ball, right? It doesn't like R.J. Davis being, quote-unquote, the point guard, the 1. Ian Jackson can share all of those responsibilities. You can have 2 guys that can dribble the ball up the court and initiate the offense. I have full and 100% confidence in both of them to be able to do that, and Elliot Cadeau as well. I just think you gotta limit how often you have all 3 of them on the court at the same time to get that size out there. John in Raleigh, next up on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, which is open for all of your calls. Monday sound off. Call in now. 919-860-5326. One more time, 919-860-5326. John in Raleigh wants to talk about the NC State women's basketball team. John, thank you for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
Well, kudos to the women. That was a great game to watch on TV. I looked at tickets a week earlier, and there were 114 to $900 for 2 tickets on SeatGeek, so we decided to watch it on TV. Anyway, kudos. It was a great game. It was great for women's college basketball as well, being so close, nationally televised, college game day, all that stuff. My wife and I, we go to 8 games a year. We watch a lot of college sports together. But we've, for the last few years, said women's college games, basketball, the referees aren't consistent. And I know I'm a State fan, and the Carolina game a week ago, that touch foul at the end, and James tried to draw a touch foul at the end and didn't get it. And then this one at the very end of the game, we were both saying, I just don't hope they call ticky-tack the last minute of the game either way. And darn if it didn't happen. And earlier in the game, in one of the timeouts, Wes was talking to one of the refs in the timeout. And
Wes Moore, the coach, for those of you that are unaware, NC State's coach.
Yeah, and Wes was talking about, can you be consistent with calling the fouls? The announcers even said that's what he was talking to him about. So I want to hear your input or others on, I just don't think it's consistent enough, and let him play at the end. I don't care who wins, but don't call cheap fouls at the end of a ball game. Anyway, thanks. Love your show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words there as well. Here's my take on refs, especially basketball refs. It's really hard. It's really hard. And you probably think the worst refs ref whatever team you watch most often. Like if you watch women more often than you watch men, you're probably going like, man, the women's refs, they're so inconsistent. If you watch the men more than you watch the women, you're probably going, man, the refs are so inconsistent. It's just hard. It's just really, really hard. And, people are, down in the final moments, they're always making bad calls. I think we just remember those more. And I'm not saying that it's like an excuse, right? I'm not saying like, hey, if a bad call happens, you have to just throw your hands up and go, hey, they're trying their best. It is very, very difficult to do and complain. I like, until you get to the point, we're seeing in baseball now, where you can challenge and have robots tell you if it's a ball or a strike, until you get to the point where you can have like ultimate replays doing everything, there's just going to be calls you don't like. And as frustrating as it is, and I'm as guilty as anyone is getting frustrated, it is something we got to put up with. Appreciate the call, though, and you're right. The NC I didn't realize the tickets were so expensive. They should have moved it over to the Lenovo Center. Get a few more opportunities for people to watch.
More butts and seats. Probably a lot more people than there were there on Saturday, I can tell you that.
Then people get mad because Reynolds is pretty sweet for that environment. Either way, not trying to open up that can of worms. Let's go back to the Heister Automotive Group hotline, open for your calls on a Monday. Soundoff, 919-860-5326. Corey in Raleigh is up next, wants to sound off on R.J. Davis, the shooting guard / point guard for UNC. Corey, thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. RJ is a New York point guard. That's what he came up playing. He's probably the most comfortable in that position. If Caleb Love would have never been there, what RJ would have accomplished there. And to have him as a fifth year with the intelligence he has to run point from North Carolina and then have the ability to put Cadeau on the bench, Jay Witt out there, Washington out there, Seth Trimble and Drake Powell switching in and out, and the sixth man that Steph Trimble can bring that we've seen him bring before. I just think it's a different team, and I think Elliott's had his chance. He's had his time, but I think the only time he needs to come in is just a relief for RJ, just to get a little bit of rest. But that's about it, man. I feel like if we do that, we're a bigger team, we're a smarter team, and we can compete a little bit better.
Appreciate the call. There's a lot of logic there.
And he's not the only one that feels that way.
Yeah, and that's, by the way, it's not a knock on Elliot Cadeau. It's more of a redundancy in abilities and play type. There's not many teams in college basketball that can get by with two guys around 6 foot on the floor. Right? There's a reason why height, right? There's a reason why if you're 6'8" and you just walk around in life, people go, did you play basketball? It's because height matters in basketball. It's hard to have two guys that are 6 foot, 6'1", out there on the court at the same time. And if you had to choose between R.J. Davis and Elliot Cadeau, you're probably choosing R.J. Davis, who is, the Jerry West Award winner, preseason All-American, ACC Player of the Year, all those sorts of things. So if roles change and you go on a little hot streak, roles change, and that hot streak matters.
I mean, it helps in that regard to keep RJ Davis at the point when Ian Jackson is broken out of his slump. That's the big thing. Ian Jackson for a stretch was just simply not scoring.
Yeah, there's 5 games, whatever that was, where it was rough, and then he had
7 of 8. He had single digits.
23 against Syracuse kind of broke things back open. I think there is a difference in ability. Maybe even I would even add to RJ Davis just natural physical ability. Ian Jackson versus the other perimeter players for UNC, where I would give him more of a leash to figure it out, because it's like, no, you have some things we can't teach. So Ian Jackson to me is in a different bucket than some of these other guys. Back to the call-in line, Heister Automotive Group hotline. Open for your calls, 919-860-5326. Once again for you, 919-860-5326. This is the time of the week where you can kind of drive the show a little bit here. You can call in with your takes reacting to the weekend. Edward and Wendell is up next. Edward wants to talk NC State. Edward, thank you for calling in. Go ahead and sound off.
I think there's been a lot more recruits. I'm talking about football here. I've heard there's been some visits, but the problem is with these visits, we weren't good this year. There's going to be 2 things that come out of this. One, we're so bad that nobody wants to commit to us, and 2, we're so bad that they want to actually try to help. And there's been like 4 stars and 3 stars. I don't think we're landing any of the 4 stars, but the 3 stars, we might be so bad that like they want to help out some.
Edward, I appreciate the call very much. A little off-season football recruiting news. I'll respond to it, but thank you very much for calling and for listening. Great job. There's 2 things going on here in college recruiting. One, everything Edward just said, which is the studs, the super stud recruits, the 4 stars, the 5 stars want to go somewhere where they can win. And after last year, they're questioning whether they can do that at NC State. Talking about football, by the way. And then there's the group, maybe 3 stars, that want to play early. And they're saying if we go to a powerhouse school, we'll probably have to sit, we'll have to earn our way. But maybe NC State's so bad that we can show up and work our way onto the field very early. There's one thing you're missing, and I was missing this until recently as well, so I'm not knocking you for it. I think we all have to get used to it. And actually, we can look towards NC State basketball to help illustrate it, and that is NIL money. NIL money. We talked with Kevin Keats. We've referenced it a bunch of times. After the basketball team went on their Final Four run, one of my questions was, how awesome is recruiting? How much buzz do you have in recruiting? And he went, well, even after the Final Four run, it still all comes down to NIL dollars. Which is a real bummer if you're coming off a Final Four run and you're like, what? The Final Four run doesn't give us all the cachet in the world to just go, you, and you. We'd like you to join our team.
Like Keith said that even the other day. He's like, yeah, you go to a Final Four, you pretty much can pick just about whomever.
If that's the case, the opposite is also the case, which means if you're bad, you're not out of it in recruiting. You just have to come up with the money. If players aren't going to the teams that win because of cash, then they aren't avoiding the teams that didn't win if they're providing the cash. So, and this is, like I said, Edward, I'm still getting used to it as well. There is a certain level of we have to change the way we think about recruiting. Right? The days of they got a new stadium upgrade, or the days of their uniforms are awesome, their game day atmosphere is great, their offensive scheme is fantastic. They won last year, being the biggest driving factors in recruiting, which for a long time it was. Like, they got a great Nike deal. Their offensive coordinator is great at churning out NFL wide receivers, so they're going to recruit receivers great. That's all well and good as long as you also have the NIL cash. So my advice to State, as far as like their pitch for recruiting, use what you have, right? Talk to them about, hey, we have this many reps available on the defensive line, and if you want to play early, you can do that here. We'll give you the opportunity to compete, but also come with a certain bottom dollar in NIL and revenue share and everything else that can get you a higher level of recruit, because that's what some guys are doing. They're just turning around and going to the highest bidder. And yes, I hear that's like nails on the chalkboard for old school football fans. Your blood is curdling because You want somebody that goes somewhere because it's the right spot for them and they can develop as an individual and all those things. But it's just not always, flat out, not always the case. Heaster Automotive Group hotline is open, 919-860-5326. We'll leave that open, but I also want to hit the Dean's List because I think there's some really, really good options here. There it is. Let's put class in session. And obviously, a lot of these have already been referenced here during the call-ins. But like I said, we'll leave those lines open if you want to get on the show, something urgent, 919-860-5326. I'm going to Zaya James.
NC State women's basketball?
Yes. Multiple callers called in about a women's basketball game during this Monday Soundoff. That alone is a metric that we should track, right? Because we don't get those calls very often, but we did today. And that's because number 13 in the country, NC State, beat number 1 in the country, Notre Dame, 104-95 in 2 overtimes. Now, some of you are probably going, wait a second, you said James gets the Dean's List? Why not Zoe Brooks? She had 33, 10, and 3. That's fair.
Unreal.
What about the team in general? All 5 starters in double figures. They shot 45.6% as a team against the number 1 team in the country. Also very fair. I'm going with Isaiah James, who had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists for the around-the-back move. To be in, like, the instinct of an athlete, or I shouldn't even say athlete, because the all-time greats are different. The instinct of a human is the higher the stakes get, the more you kind of conservative it, right? The more you, less risk. She was in a 2 overtime game. Couple minutes left against the number 1 team in the country. She's on a fast break and goes and 1 mixtape tour with the around the back to protect the ball from someone swooping in front for a steal, keeps her feet about her, goes up for the layup and bucket. It became a SportsCenter top 10 play. It became a play Magic Johnson was tweeting about. It became kind of the image of the win over Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame calling a timeout after it. Like, all right, we got to calm this down.
Probably would have called the timeout before it.
Yeah.
As soon as you see her start going around the back, timeout. This isn't going to go well. Just the wherewithal to do it, the confidence to do it, the confidence to try it, and then the skill to execute it, pretty sweet.
That's the big thing, is the confidence to do it.
Yeah.
Impressive.
It might pop into the brain of a bunch of people, like, I could go around the back, and nah. She was like, swoop, swoop, just calm with it. Isaiah James makes the Dean's List. Another Dean's List. Do you have one you want to mention? If you do or don't.
I actually do.
Okay,
it might be one of yours. Isaiah Evans just coming in flamethrowing for Duke once again.
I didn't because I'm almost too used to it now, but as I've said before, he is kind of the poster boy for this Dean's List. But I will go with another player staying ready. We could go Paul McNeil here, a freshman flamethrower off the bench, even though he started the game. He's been off the bench most of the year for NC State. We talked about it. 24 points against Wake Forest. In the first 16 games he appeared in this year, he had 28 points. He had 24 against Wake. He's had 52 in his last 4 combined. So Paul McNeil makes it. And last one for me, Jalen Withers, UNC. Few references there. Big guy for UNC playing well deserves to be kind of shouted out because the size of UNC has been really talked down upon for a large part of the year. Van Allen Lubin as well playing well, but we'll go Withers. 16 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, and a block, 4 of 6 from 3. If he plays like that, UNC's a different team. We've debated during this Monday Soundoff with your calls. We've debated how they should play the perimeter. Should Powell get more perimeter minutes? Should Cadeau move to the bench? We've debated that. Regardless of what's going on in the perimeter, if Jalen Withers gives you 16 and 11, they're a much better team. Regardless of who else is on the floor around him, they're a much better team if they have a big guy being that effective and stretching the floor all the way to the three-point line. So there you go. Dean's List, wanted to get that out of the way. Let's go ahead and dismiss class on the Dean's List. And never mind, we had a caller there that was lined up, but I guess we're going to the bullpen on it. Heaster Automotive Group hotline is open for you. 919-860-5326. Might have time for 1 or 2 more. I know we just lost a couple of you. 919-860-5326. Open for you. Also, we have an opportunity for you to use that same number and potentially win a pair of tickets to see Pantera and Dennis, you might have to tell me what the pronunciation on this one. Eamon Amarth? Amarth?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Text keyword music, MUSIC, to 919-860-5326. That's music as a keyword. MUSIC. Text that to 919-860-5326 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Pantera and Eamon Amarth. I'll figure out how to pronounce that better by tomorrow. Maybe it's right. At Coastal Credit Union Music Park on September 11th. It's coming up this September. I do know how to pronounce Pantera, so there you go. Tickets, Pantera, if you want to win them. Music, text it in, MUSIC, to 919-860-5326. I said we have time for one more caller on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. We'll go to Greg in Hillsboro. Greg, thank you for calling in. Go ahead and sound off here on a Monday Sound Off.
My sound off is on the coming ACC basketball tournament on why are they only doing 15 teams and not 16. Why wouldn't you play 4 games the first day? Why would it matter if 8 and 9 both have a first day bye? But they want to make sure the number 1 seed's only playing a team that's played 1 game, where 2, 3, and 4 could be playing a team that's already played 2 games. That's my sound off.
All right, appreciate the call. Thank you very much. My guess is they just didn't want to mess with the structure that was already going on. Maybe even like television rights and everything else. You could go to 16 and just have everybody play, every round if you wanted to. Go to a straight Sweet 16 style bracket. I mean, the obvious answer is, yeah, I think they want to significantly reward the teams that played better in the regular season. Unlike in the NCAA tournament, where it's more fun when you have a ton of upsets and everything, the ACC wants the good teams to make it to the end. They want the Final Four to be the best teams in the ACC. They want that automatic bid to go to one of the better teams in the ACC. As awesome as that NC State run was, they want to make somebody earn it to go on that kind of a run. I don't think it's about anything other than getting the first couple of seeds, the top seed, anything but a huge advantage.
There's a lot that goes into putting on one game, believe it or not, but so even adding one more game, which is adding one more team, there's just a lot more logistical stuff that goes into it. They're like, you know what? We're just going to keep doing it the way we've been doing it. Just going to keep doing it the way we've been doing it, because adding one more game adds, like you mentioned, there's more stuff you got to do with television, and then you got to where you put the extra team with locker rooms. There's a whole bunch of logistical stuff that goes into it, even with just one more team.
Yep.
And
by the way, and this is true for everybody who wants to expand the NCAA tournament. I have a hard time hearing complaints from, we're the 16th team in an 18-team conference. We should be in the conference tournament. So just be in the top 15 out of 18, and you have nothing to worry about. I could see if only 4 teams make it. Then you'd be really upset. Oh, we're the 5th best team at 18, and we got messed over here. No, I have every bit of confidence saying the bottom 3 teams in an 18-team conference should not have any leg to stand on as far as complaints.
Interestingly enough, by only having the top 15 go, it makes Boston College versus Cal more interesting.
There is that too.
And also makes Syracuse, NC State a little bit more interesting at the end of the year, because those teams are right there on the borderline of that cut line of getting in.
It's a good point.
You actually add a little bit more intrigue. Like, if I'm NC State, now I'm paying attention to Boston College versus Cal.
Or else they'd be playing for I'm going to be the 15 seed, you're going to be the 16 seed. Ooh. It's not a huge difference there.
See you on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. We'll run it back. Let's not show each other anything in this game, because we're going to play again in a week. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Thank you to everybody that called in for a Monday Sound Off. I appreciate that and enjoy it every single week. I enjoy every single day. Football at 4. We have some news coming out of Panthers, off-season news, and there's a franchise legend that got some not great news recently. Stick around.
The Adam Gold Show.
Their more pressing need
to get this team across the line was never Mikko Rantanen. It was, man, we got to get better down the middle. We have to get better, more hard to play against in the middle of the ice. JT Miller, by the way, right now is playing third center for the Rangers. So to me, if this was about this year, it would have been JT Miller would have been the target.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu, fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I ordered the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price of participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be-in-the-room-with real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Tired of hearing this from your local tire place?
Sorry, we can't fix it. Take it to Dauntless.
This year, skip the middleman and take your car straight to Dauntless Transmissions if you want quality work done right the first time. Transmissions, engine, or brake work, or just a regular tune-up. If it's broke, Dauntless will fix it. For quality work done with the kind of experience that works for you, take it to Dauntless Transmissions first. Go to DauntlessTransmissions.com to book your visit today. Dauntless Transmissions, your local source for exceptional service.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
They score! WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Beautiful weather in store this week. After some chilly mornings, the afternoons will be nice and warm. This afternoon, a high of 63 degrees under partly cloudy skies, down to 37 tonight. So you'll want a jacket in the morning. But tomorrow afternoon, we could hit 70 under sunny skies.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones is up 33 points to 43,461.
Let's move the chains. Time for football at 4.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Over the next, I would say, 7 days, expect a lot of news out of the NFL. Because there's the Combine is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Starts on Thursday for certain positions. But also, the teams will start letting players know that they like players who they have a fondness for, that they're not going to be retained in free agency. They're not going to find a new deal now. So it gives them and their representation a couple of extra days before everybody becomes a free agent to go shop their services. Thus, you get an announcement like we got earlier today. Shaq Thompson will not be a Panther next year. It stings. But it also makes sense. It's one of those things where like your heart hurts and your brain's like, yeah, well, what'd you expect? Let's first get like, shall we give flowers?
Absolutely.
Shaq Thompson's a really, really good player in the history of Pantherdom. He is third in tackles in Panthers history behind two guys you might recognize, Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly.
I've heard of those guys.
Yeah, possibly. And you could argue the Thomas Davis was a passing of the torch to Shaq Thompson because they did overlap there for a little bit. Shaq Thompson was a part of the team that played in the Super Bowl back in 2015. That was his rookie year. He was the first-round pick that year that helped them play in the Super Bowl, one that they failed to win, but still either the best or second-best team in franchise history. The nostalgia is there for Shaq Thompson. I mean, there's pretty much J.J. Jansen, and that's about it now for players who've, you have, and that's the long snapper, so no disrespect to long snappers. You're not the exact same as a off-ball, every-play tackling machine linebacker. There's not many connections back to that 2015 team anymore. You're more likely to see them squabbling on podcasts than you are to see them on the field for the Panthers as far as members of that squad and where they're making news. So the nostalgia is there for Shaq Thompson. Your heart is like, man, would have been really cool to see him retire a Panther. Would have been really cool to see him not have to go somewhere else to get one more payday. But the fact of the matter is, he's about to be 31. And he's got a pretty significant injury history. And he plays a not premium position, right? That off-ball linebacker, not really an edge rusher, kind of sideline-to-sideline guy. The fact is, his timeline doesn't really align with the Panthers' timeline. If they were expecting to go chase like a Super Bowl this year, I do think he's a winning player when healthy, which is a big if. It's big, like possibly. But if you just need some veterans to go out there and play great, he can be that guy. The issue is the Panthers are trying to win like the 2028 Super Bowl, right? They're trying to start contending for a division, probably 2026. They're trying to be a team that contends for the NFC, maybe 2027 and go from there. And by that point, you're looking at a guy mid-30s with a significant injury history and even more wear and tear on the tires. And then there's this other thing, and I'm Dennis, tell me if I'm going too far with this. Dan Morgan is the GM, okay? Dan Morgan is also one of the best linebackers in Panthers history.
Yeah.
To me, to get the full benefit of Dan Morgan's expertise, you kind of have to let him cook with the linebackers. And what I mean by that is let him go find the diamonds in the rough, right? Let him go be a better evaluator and know more about linebackers than other GMs and let that be part of your advantage. If because you have Dan Morgan as your GM, you only have to spend 70% as much money on that position to have a really good core than other teams would have to spend, that's massive. When you have somebody that's more of an expert at one spot and because of that you spend more on the position, I always think that's backwards. I know it's not exactly apples to apples, but think of it like this. Kyle Shanahan's one of my favorite offensive play callers because he can scheme open a wide receiver regardless of who it is. So it never made sense to me that they were paying Deebo Samuel a bunch of money, paying Brandon Ayuk a bunch of money, and also Kittle and CMC. And I'm going like, wait a minute. You don't need that. You have Kyle Shanahan. Right? Brandon Ayuk gets hurt. Jawan Jennings is a super stud. I'm going, if you can have all the production with Jawan Jennings, why in the heck are you paying a wide receiver like Brandon Ayuk $30 million a year? Shaq Thompson, just by nature of who he is, how long he's been in the league, he'll come with a certain price tag. I'm going, well, if you have Dan Morgan, you don't have to spend all that money on an off-ball linebacker. Let him go draft Trevin Wallace in the third, and maybe he can fill that role for significantly less money, and you can go spend that on let's splurge for the number one wide receiver, or let's splurge for the edge rusher, or whatever you have at the top of your list, because we don't need to spend all of that on linebacker because we have Dan Morgan to make it up in the margins. So Shaq Thompson, awesome dude. By the way, like going along with giving flowers, every report about him as far as a leader, as far as like a culture guy, is highest marks possible.
And he gets it.
Yeah, I'm sure they called him in, and it was very much like a.
Well,
go ahead.
I actually have the soundbite from after the season. He actually acknowledged, hey, he understands the leg injuries and everything in his age if he wouldn't be brought back. But here's actually Shaq from a couple months ago.
Yeah, I would love to end my career here. You know what I mean? One of the guys in history to play with one team. But it's up to them, right? These 2 injuries were fluky. Everybody knows about the one last year, and of course about this one this year. There's nothing I can do. But it happened, get better, and come back strong.
He gets it would be the way that you said it, and I would second. Also, let me float this one by you, Dennis. The fact that they're willing to let Shaq Thompson go, does that show confidence in like the foundation of the culture already being laid?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think when they took over, right, and when they were there, I don't think they would have let Shaq Thompson go if the contract were like 1 year earlier, like last offseason. I think they would have made sure he was back this year because they knew what he was to that locker room and what he could be to the Panthers. I think it's an acknowledgement from Morgan and Canales that we have a strong enough culture in that locker room that we don't need Shaq Thompson there to be the thermostat and always setting the temperature. Now we have other guys that can do that. The temperature's already at a good place, and we can go bring in somebody else, and they will adjust to what we do rather than vice versa.
Yeah, I think so. I think especially for the fact that they drafted Trevin Wallace, and Trevin Wallace got to learn under him, and then eventually, obviously, when Shaq Thompson got hurt, Trevin Wallace took over from there. But I think, Shaq Thompson was a big part of that, because even going into the locker room, I would go to games and then go into the locker room. Like, you could still sense his presence in there talking to guys and whatever it might be. You can still see his presence on the sidelines at games. So, he was still very much a mentor for a lot of these younger guys. And I think Carolina was pretty intentional about that this past season. Obviously, Shaq Thompson, they restructured his deal to bring him back last year, but having other guys like Jordan Matthews in the locker room, I actually had a chance to talk with Jordan Matthews one-on-one about, he's like, hey, I get my role. I'm on the practice squad, but I'm also here to teach these young guys like JT Sanders and some of these other young players. So I think those guys were core into building the culture. Now it's like, okay, hand things off, let these other young guys take over.
Which, that's why it's so tough to ask veterans to do it. Mm-hmm. Because like Shaq Thompson, you built the culture, you mentored these guys so well that we don't need you anymore. We can just they're up and running, like things are cranking. You can go somewhere else, and it's like I knew I shouldn't have mentored them. I should have made it seem like I was mentoring them so that they would still need me. It's like everything's good.
And for him, he's probably thinking, man, just 2 years ago I had 135 tackles, played all 17 games, and then bam, broken fibula, bam, Achilles.
At 28 years old, 135 tackles. You're probably thinking I got 7-8 years of being one of the best in the league. That's, by the way, and this is side note here, that's why guys hold out for more money. That's why they want that guaranteed cash. That's why everybody isn't always betting on themselves to go. Like, sometimes you want the stability because you could be 28 years old, 135 tackles, the world's at your fingertips, 2 wrong steps on strange turf, and all of a sudden you got to go out there and find a veteran. I don't even know what the market will be for him. He'll be on a team next year if he wants to, but it might be super incentive laden. I don't know what the market will be for a player like Shaq Thompson.
It's the cruel reality of pro sports. You hit the age of 30, you've had a couple bad injuries, especially lower extremity. You're like, you're damaged goods.
Ironically, I could see him going to like a Jets or something where they bring him in to like set the culture, and he's like, this is my job now.
Yep.
I just go into bad teams and teach the young guys how to be pros. Guess I won't be making the playoffs that often, will I?
Hey, check still clears, right?
Hopefully. If it's incentive laden, you're just mentoring. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can your incentives be someone else? We drafted a rookie in the 3rd round. If he has at least 100 tackles, you get an extra $500,000.
If he gets an interception, I get $10,000.
I don't even know if that's legal in the NFLPA stuff, but
probably not
in the CBA. But I hope it is. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have the ladder challenge to get to. I'm still on fire there. And before we do that, before we try to make some more money, here's Dennis Cox.
Dennis Cox here with my friends over at Loan Pronto. Folks, what could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Will be back in a few minutes. We have the ladder challenge, and we have to decide who had the best week out of the 4 ACC teams from the state of North Carolina. Stick around.
Listen for the Did He Just Do That?
Johnson trying to step back for a 3. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damask from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The Get That Out of Here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports leader.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
You know what's fun about Ram Truck Month at John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Lillington? Nothing if it's not you behind the wheel of a brand new 2025 Ram 1500. With savings as much as $15,000 off a new 2025 Ram 1500, you can have all the fun driving this powerful, rugged truck built for work, play, and everything in between. So get off your keister and get to Heister today. Hurry to Ram Truck Month at John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Lillington.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What? You expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
See if you're a winner every night. Watch live lottery drawings on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. That's right, Carolina Pick 3, Carolina Pick 4, and Carolina Cash 5 numbers every night on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news. See if you're a winner before you go off to bed. Get your lottery numbers live every night.
North Carolina Education Lottery.
Only on WRAL TV's 11 o'clock news.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Here comes Cooper the other way. 15-20 to go. Flag. Gonna wait for help. Now he'll drive. Got by Boswell. Goes up off the window in town. He's just toying with Illinois right now.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have the podium coming up in a little bit where we will decide which. By the way, every single Triangle ACC team won over the weekend. We're talking men's and women's basketball. We focus on the men's side of things on the podium, and we'll decide who had the best week out of the ACC teams, all from the state of North Carolina. So we include Wake in that as well. That's coming up. But first, we have a ladder challenge. Dennis, how was your weekend for your ladder challenge?
Oh, I hit. I had the over 4.5 goals between the New York Rangers and Buffalo Sabres. Sabres scored 8 themselves in that game, so nailed it.
You want to hear something extremely similar?
What's that?
I had the over 3.5 goals scored in the Canes Maple Leafs game, and the Leafs scored 7 by themselves.
They did.
They had 4 in the first, I think, 30 seconds, it felt like.
Yeah, 6-3 final. Yeah, they had 4 in the first period.
Or 6,
you were
sorry,
good.
not 7. Yeah, it was not a fun game to watch if you're a Canes fan, but as far as the over 3.5, it was a very no sweat hit, which brought me up to $23.25. I believe you're a little bit ahead now.
I'm up to $21.40 is where I'm at. That's where I am.
I may have copy and pasted.
I'm sorry,
that.
$23.80.
Okay,
My apologies.
I was going to say, I thought you passed me, but either way, I was going to take the $2 lead or whatever. We are nearing the end of February, so every pick is extremely important. However, you are in the lead now, so you get to go first.
You know, this is a tried and true thing for me. You know me, I like to go a little bit of hockey because hockey's an easy one to go with. We have the Vegas Golden Knights of the LA Kings tonight. That should actually be. If you just enjoy hockey, stay up late. Enjoy that one. I'm actually going to go with an alternate goal total of this one. I'm going to go with over 3.5 goals scored at minus 575. So that $23.80 will turn into $27.90.
Wow, you ready for this?
Yeah.
My pick is Ian Jackson, 8 or more points scored versus Florida State tonight. It's minus 500. I'll give you my reasoning in a second.
Right.
But the reason I said wow is if it hits, I will have $27.90.
Look at that.
I don't know what the odds are on that, but that's maybe a longer shot than we're.
So we'll just be straight up even.
We'll be absolutely even with a couple of days left if they both hit. Now that we've talked about it like this, the gambling gods are going to say no, sir.
Ian Jackson's going to have 8 points, but they're like, nope, foot was on the line.
Yeah.
It's a 2.
Exactly. They're going
to knock down to 7.
But basically, my sole justification for this, and we'll talk about it here more as we get into the UNC Florida State game later. Florida State is tall.
Yeah, they are.
They're one of the top. I think I saw, and I have the stats somewhere in my notes. I'll bring it to you later in the show. I think they're the 7th tallest starting lineup in college basketball.
Leonard Hamilton recruits trees.
And usually they have I don't know what it is, like the anomaly of it. They always are like 6'8", but they have like a 7'14" wingspan.
Yeah,
like their arms are always significantly longer than everybody else's. They're sticky fingers, great at getting deflections. But that also means I think UNC is going to try to do some of their damage from deep, and Ian Jackson can shoot. And he's a little bit taller than a player like R.J. Davis, so he might have a few more options. So I went Ian Jackson at least 8 points, minus 500, to bring me up to $27.90, hopefully, by this time tomorrow. And then Dennis and I will have a furious race to the finish to see who can win at the end of February. That's a ladder challenge here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly. Oh, I didn't even bring – just pretend it's over on the other side of the studio. Pretend I have my trophy here if you're watching on YouTube.
Trophy.
Pretend I have my trophy.
Can't wait to put that over here.
I don't know. I'm not going to give it away.
What if we finish tied?
Then I think we just do an all-out bet. Whoever makes them – like It's
like one bet.
One bet, no limits on odds. Who has the most? So you could pick like a minus 10,000 bet, and you just hope I get mine wrong.
Yeah. Or go plus 9,000.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can put together a ridiculous 8-leg parlay and try to bury it.
Let's go.
It's up to you, but we'll figure that out if it happens. That's still pretty rare. That's the Ladder Challenge here on The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Now it's time for the podium on The Drive here on 99.9 The Fan. Podium is a 1-week award. We have a gold, a silver, a bronze, and an off the podium to award. Goes to the 4 teams in the state of North Carolina in the ACC. We're talking men's basketball this time of year. And it's basically who had the best week since we did this last week, or you guys did this last week. Off the podium, this one was relatively simple. Wake Forest played 1 game over the last week, and they got beat by double figures by NC State. And it was a game, I don't want to say it's must win, and I don't, by the way, we talk down on the net rankings quite a bit. We talk down on many of the advanced analytics quite a bit as far as ranking teams for the bubble and who's going to make the tournament. Apparently that loss wasn't that bad for Wake Forest, and in most situations, most rankers and bracketologists and algorithms only knocked them down like 2 or 3 spots. It has to be a bad loss. NC State is one of the worst teams in the ACC this year, and you kind of got pushed around by him. I was expecting a big game from Hunter Salas for Wake Forest. He was non-existent in the first half. He played the entire first half. He had 2 shot attempts, didn't make either of them. That's not okay for a player that with an NBA skill set. So that loss is a real bad one in my book. Wake, you're off the podium. And you only played 1 game, so you didn't even have the opportunity to go bounce back with a dominating win over Boston College to make it look better. You just got to wallow in that loss for a little bit. So you're off the podium. Bronze? All that talk I just had about how NC State was one of the worst teams in the ACC. Yeah, they're the bronze. They're the bronze. They did beat Wake.
That they did.
But that doesn't completely wash away the stench from that North Carolina game last week.
No, it doesn't.
They lost at UNC 97-73. And as far as just watching it and knowing how angry the fan base is getting, that might be the number 1 pick this year. You might argue UNC's loss to Duke would be similar as far as the fan base of the losing team. You're just watching it and you can feel blood boiling. You can feel their frustration rising. That loss to UNC, man, based on body language of NC State, the lack of execution on the floor, what that game means to their fan base, what UNC had been up to that point, right? UNC wasn't exactly a juggernaut going into that game. You probably felt like, hey, they're struggling, we're struggling, we got a chance here, and it wasn't that. So that game overcomes the win against Wake Forest later on in the week. But I will say, we talked about it earlier, if NC State found something in Paul McNeil, their freshman, being a legit scorer, being someone they can build around, that's pretty valuable. So, silver lining, ironic for the bronze medalist. Bronze lining, Paul McNeil might be something. Here's McNeil talking about earning Kevin Keatts, his head coach's trust.
It was hard, man, just coming in as a freshman, trying to learn the ways. And he see me building, he see me working, he see me trying. He trusted me, and it's paying off. So it's just 1 game I had good. I'm just trying to keep going, stay humble, be blessed about it.
There you go. Just keep fighting. His last 4 games, he's been a pretty good scorer. We learned in conversations with Kevin Keatts in the media, and Dennis was there asking some of the questions, we learned that it was the other end of the floor that was keeping him from playing more minutes earlier in the season, and he's doing better there.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing better there.
That's what I asked him specifically. I said, what was it about him being on the floor that you trusted him on defense? Because generally coaches be like, hey, you're a freshman, I don't trust you on the defensive side of the floor when we're trying to protect a lead. And he elaborated about, again, how he's grown as a person, grown as a player, and actually started caring about playing defense, essentially, is what he said.
if he puts it all together, he's a really good player.
Yeah.
And he's in state, which is always nice. Let's go to silver. Silver goes to UNC. This is one of, if not the best week UNC has had this season. Smoked NC State, as we just talked about, and that one was a dominant performance from very early on in that game. It was the game that made both Dennis and I and many others say, hey, they're starting to look like a Carolina basketball team. Look at that. And then they dominated against UVA. Now, I think UVA is moving in the opposite direction, right? As some teams are thriving to the finish, UVA is limping to the finish. So neither of these games were, massive momentum-changing wins against great teams. But if you're UNC, double-digit wins, 20-point wins, games where you're ahead and don't have to worry in the second half, they're worth their weight in gold just in building confidence and giving yourself a chance to work some things out. And then that's how you end up in silver. Hubert Davis talked about Drake Powell, who's there. I think he was the 13th overall recruit in the country. He's a freshman, 6'6", all the athleticism in the world. He's playing more. He's playing a different role. They've gone bigger with their lineup over the last couple of games, and Hubert Davis talked about what Drake Powell gives them specifically on defense.
Defensively, he can rebound, he can shoot threes, he can attack the basket, finish above the rim, get second chance opportunities, knock down free throws. And so I think the combination with him and Witt give us a really nice, big athletic lineup that really helps us on both ends.
That's a really good day for Drake Powell. Great defense, finishing above the rim, giving them. I also think it's there's something to be said, and I think of everything in football terms, like a defensive back with great recovery speed. It just gives you another swing at it, right? It's like everybody's going to get beat at the line sometimes. If you have great recovery speed, you might make the play anyway. If you don't have great recovery speed, you get beat at the line. That's all she wrote. Drake Powell, he might get beat on the perimeter. He might be a young player that's out of position, but he's 6'6" with springs in his feet, and he might get the chase down block. He might get the tip. He might make the play anyway because he's such a great athlete. Meanwhile, some of the other guys on the perimeter, the Elliot Cadeaus, the RJ Davises, if they get beat on the perimeter, it's kind of all she wrote, right? It's just, all right, now hopefully Washington or Van Allen Lubin or Drake Powell is there to help and challenge the player at the bucket. Drake Powell just gives you kind of two swings at it, which pretty important. Gold goes to Duke. Duke's really good.
There it is.
They won at UVA. Again, UVA's moving down. Duke is at the top of the ACC. I don't even think you really learned much in that game. That's just one of those formalities. You had to go win the game. You were on the road in Charlottesville. You win it. Thumbs up. No injuries. Get back home. The MSG game, the Madison Square Garden game versus Illinois, I think opened up a lot of eyes. 110 points scored. Not an overtime game. And they pulled the starters. And it's not like they kept pedal to the floor. Their backups came in and started lighting things up.
No one scored more than 20 points. Actually, no one hit 20 points for Duke. That's crazy. You scored 110 and not one person at 20?
And you held the opposing team to 67.
Oof, well, they couldn't shoot. Good Lord.
Matter of fact, let's round out the podium there and focus in on this game a little bit more. If Illinois is even a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team, and granted, to put a full context on it, they are a team that's been battling a virus that was going around the locker room. They did have at least one contributing young player injured with a wrist injury in the last couple of games. But if they are, I think when they were healthy and playing their best, they were a top-end Big Ten team. If they are in their current form, even a middle-of-the-pack Big Ten team, Duke sent a message to the rest of the country on Saturday night. And that message was something along the lines of, our success, all of the gaudy statistics, the accolades we've been garnering are not just because we're playing in a down ACC. If instead of playing name your middle-of-the-pack ACC team, we were playing Illinois, the accolades would still be there, as shown by us dropping 110 on them in Madison Square Garden. And it could have been worse. John Shire, their head coach, describes what it felt like to play a complete game and have everything work so well in the offensive end.
I'm just, really proud of our team. The way that we shared the ball, 28 assists, that's a season high. I thought guys are just playing for each other. On defense, I thought, especially in the second half, we just did a great job of keeping them out of the paint. And just everybody. I can talk about everybody that played. They stepped up and made big-time winning plays. And like I said, playing for each other. I mean, I'm going to find some things, of course, that we can do better. But right now, just really proud of our team with what they did.
There's a lot of stats that show how well Duke played. And by the way, we're just focusing on this one game. It's not like, hey, because you beat Illinois by a ton, you get to, skip the first weekend of the NCAA tournament and go straight to the Sweet 16. That's not how it works. But that type of game shows what they can do when they play their A game. All 5 starters were in double figures and 2 bench players. It started like social media started asking the questions on like what Isaiah Evans and Caleb Foster could be on other teams because I mean it's like they got the green light. Like, all right, starters are going to take a break, go in there and gun for points, and in the blink of an eye they were both at like a dozen points, just quick as all get out. But even more impressive than that, even more impressive than the 7 players scoring in double figures is this. Every starter had at least 2 assists. And 3 players off the bench had at least 2 assists. They had 10 players with an assist. So it's one thing when everybody's scoring. It's another thing when everyone is playing exceptionally within the offense and moving the ball and getting it to the right shot. They shot 55.6%. They shot 52% from 3. I'll tell you right now. Right, I don't guarantee stuff ever. If Duke shoots over 50% from 3, I don't think there's a team in the country that can beat them. If they get eliminated from the NCAA tournament and they shot like 51.7% from 3, I will be jaw on the ground shocked.
The other team shot 70.
It would have to be something like that. It would have to be the other team was like bouncing them off Duke's heads and they were going in for 4-point plays. Early in the year, this is how crazy this is, and this is why I'm so kind of over the top about it. Early in the year, one of the few things I was nitpicking about this Duke team is it did feel like they became, at times, a team that leaned too much on Cooper Flagg. Right? It became like, ooh, if we need to score, Cooper's going to do it. And his usage would get up there, and in certain big games, it felt like too much was on his plate. Now you have games with 7 guys in double figures. Cooper can, like, chill. Now, you still have that Lamborghini in the garage. Don't get me wrong, right? If you need to win the race, you can still go break that glass in case of emergency. But Common Malawash is scoring better. And more importantly, everybody is learning how to use a 7'2" leaper more. Like, I don't care how good your AAU team was, unless you're one of the 2 or 3 best AAU teams in the country, you just don't play with guys like Common Malawash that often. So you have to like retrain your body to, hey, I can throw this alley-oop even with a player standing right there because I'm going to throw the alley-oop to a level up that they can't get to. All right, there's airspace above this rotated down perimeter player that Common Malawash occupies and they can't reach. So he's getting more alley-oop dunks. He's getting more roll lobs. He's getting more post-entry passes that they just weren't seeing earlier in the year. Con Knipple is every single game developing a little bit more of his non-shooting offense. Like he came in, I think people were almost expecting him to be, I don't even know which former Duke player to use, but just like a spot-up shooter. Like he's just going to be a guy that knocks down threes. And is maybe a little bigger than you think. Yeah, 1-3, right? And only took 2, and was all about using his body and his start and stop to get to the bucket. Tyrese Proctor continues to be an opportunistic scorer. If it's there, he'll take the shot. If it's not, he won't. That was the win over Illinois was just another example of Duke having the best roster in the country, top to bottom. I don't think we have to worry about they're only Cooper Flagg now. But I'll tell you, Dennis, I know what my worry is. When it comes to Duke, I know what if there is an check engine light, It's like, oh, what does that mean? Plug it into the computers. What does it tell you? I'm fascinated by how this Jai Lucas assistant coaching situation, I don't know if you've read any of this, is going to affect them. Jai Lucas is, and I don't say this lightly, one of the best recruiters in the country. He is an assistant coach for Duke. John Shire to the media called him one of his best friends earlier today, I think, actually, or yesterday. Jai Lucas is being hinted at in very blunt and obvious terms as by media kind of up and down the East Coast as the next Miami head coach, who they're looking for a coach because Jim Larinaga left them in the middle of the season. It's nothing's official. Nothing is set in stone, but if they're hinting with like a neon sign, right? Like they're not pointing with their fingers, but they're pointing with their elbow, going like, he's going there. That's interesting to me. First of all, Duke plays Miami in a couple of days. So that's just a fascinating matchup.
Yeah, I think it's Wednesday.
And John Shire said
tomorrow,
it's Lucas's scout. So like assistant coaches get assigned to games so they can work ahead. The Miami game is Jai Lucas's scout. So he'll be the one putting together the game plan or helping Shire most to put together the game plan to beat Miami.
Game's tomorrow. I think he's already down there now.
It's
team's already down there anyway, probably, but still,
it's just a weird situation. It's like we talked about this with like coordinators in the NFL when they're the front runner to be a head coach somewhere else, and you still got to finish out the playoffs. Recruiting is a year-round thing. Developing your staff, everything. Like if Jai Lucas is important to that squad, he's a very good assistant. What I really liked about Jai Lucas as a assistant coaching hire when John Shire named him an assistant is that he kind of came from outside the Coach Krzyzewski family, right? Obviously, Coach K was all about like his assistant coaches played for him pretty much exclusively for the last like 15 years. And John Shire brought in kind of fresh eyes from elsewhere, somebody that recruited highly and worked for other coaches. I'm just, that ecosystem is working right now for Duke, and I'm fascinated to see how it might get shaken up if Jai Lucas is or isn't like officially named the next head coach for Miami, right? Because even if he's not named that, if it's still just hanging over everybody, it can become a thing. But that's, to be completely honest, we're going through things with a pretty fine-tooth comb to find that hazard alarm that could potentially be going off. The drive, go ahead.
I would say, do you think that this is probably something that we won't officially hear about until after the season? Kind of like you do with the NFL. Like, all right, this team's season's over. Now this person's going to be the head coach. You think this they kind of wait a little bit?
I don't know. I will almost guarantee we don't hear anything more from anyone that is official until after the Miami game. But I would like, it's such an unprecedented situation. To have a school like Miami have their coach just bounce in the middle of the year is crazy. Like we never see that. So I would guess we won't hear anything official until after. But at the same time, if I'm Miami, like I need my coach recruiting. I need them watching the portal. I need them fundraising. I need them doing everything that a coach does at this time of year in addition to coaching basketball games. So I don't know if Miami's going to be like, we'll do Duke a solid and not announce that we're going to hire him until after their run. Why would Miami do that? They're conference rivals.
Yeah, I don't know how that process works, if that makes sense.
Neither do I. And again, I don't think like there's a rule book for it because it just happens so darn rare.
Do you think it's actually, I know we got to get to a break here, but do you think it's the right move to get ahead of it now if you're Miami, or do you want to wait and see what the rest of the field looks like? I'm just like, from like a coaching, because guess what? We might be seeing a coaching search in this area. This is the reason why I bring this up.
I think Lucas is a very good coach. Mm-hmm. And actually, that might be the reason to do it now, to lock it up now, because there might be other jobs that are open that aren't currently open, and you can kind of press Lucas on, hey, take this job now. It might not be there late, like bird in the hand versus a bigger bird in the bush. Mm-hmm. There could be some big jobs opening up here and elsewhere. So maybe, I don't know. It's a weird situation, but I know that Jai Lucas is he's in the news, and it could shake Duke a little bit. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan, although not as much as it used to. It used to be if an assistant coach was leaving, like the freshman would be like, you're supposed to be here 4 years. Nowadays, it's like, I don't know, I might not even be here next year.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Do you need a point guard? I'll come with you. Like the portal changes everything in that respect.
How much money you got, Coach?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. You know how much I'm making here. Can you do better? Like that whole thing changes. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We do want to talk some Canes, but first, Dennis Cox.
Dennis Cox here for ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Folks, as football season is wound down, college basketball is gearing up. Fans are ready to see which teams will prove they are ready to shine in March and who will be seen in San Antonio. You can get in on all the action from tip-off to the final whistle at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Right now, new ESPN Bet Sportsbook customers can bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets and unlock 30 days of ESPN Plus. Download the app and sign up with the promo code Radio100 to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Over the weekend, the Canes lost in an ugly way to the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was the 7th game of Mikko Rantanen's tenure with the Canes. Have they seen enough to give him $100 million? Stick around.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
What city's fan base are you rooting against the most?
Kansas City.
They just lost. Why do you have to root against them now?
Because they've been at the top and they let you know about it every single chance that they get.
Well, they can't say nothing about it now. They lost. They got embarrassed in the Super Bowl.
They sure did. But I'm just saying prior to that.
You're still rooting against them?
Yeah, big time.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
A new game has landed in North Carolina. Officials are calling this new species of game Cash Pop. So easy to play, it's out of this world. Reports confirm you just pick and match one number to win up to $2,500. With 5 drawings every day, cash landings have been cited across the state. So be on the lookout for Cash Pop from the North Carolina Education Lottery. The wins are out there. Must be 18 to play. See Cash Pop prize and odds chart at nclottery.com for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Welcome home. Your home is more than just walls and windows. It's where your story unfolds. At Baker Home Exteriors, we understand that every detail helps write that story. For over a century, our parent company, Baker Roofing, has set the standard for excellence. And now we're bringing that same dedication to your home. From roofing and siding to windows, gutters, and more, our craftsmen transform houses into the sanctuaries you've always imagined. Visit BakerHomeExteriors.com to begin your home's next chapter.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling. Quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
The best solutions every time.
At Wells Fargo, we know what got you into your business. Whether it's manufacturing, running a restaurant, or your business from home. What you didn't get into your business for was banking. But luckily, Wells Fargo offers business checking, payments, and lending all in one place, in your neighborhood and on our app, so you can focus on doing what you love. Wells Fargo, you're good at business, we're good at business banking. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/business. Terms apply. Wells Fargo Bank and a member FDIC.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
20 seconds left in the matching minors, which is 4-on-4. Now Svechnikov lets it go. They score! On the one-timer, Andrei Svechnikov has got Carolina within 2 with 5:14 left.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly here on 99.9 The Fan. By the way, follow us on YouTube, 99.9 The Fan. Always doing our best to put out a whole bunch of cool content there. And if you're a Canes fan, I mean, Canes Corner, so many interviews, so many discussions. There's a ton of Canes stuff on our YouTube at all points in time, in addition to all the other local teams you care about. 99.9 The Fan is the channel to follow, to subscribe to, I should say, on YouTube. The Canes loss to Toronto was ugly. It was made a little bit less ugly by the little run. They closed it to 4-3, but then just as quickly, Austin Matthews did the Austin Matthews thing, and it's multiple goals and then everything else. I think in that game, and I've used this term before, Mikko Rantanen needs a little bit more avocado selfishness. Right? It's what I describe, the good kind of selfishness. Like there's most of the fat we eat is bad, but everyone always says avocado is good fat. It's the same thing. Most selfishness is bad, except for occasionally it's avocado selfishness. It's the good stuff. Mikko Rantanen finished with 1 shot on goal. When you're Mikko Rantanen, I think there should be fines in place. You give us 3 shots on goal every game, or else you got to fork over some cash. But I'm also here to say this. 7 games. 7. That's how many games he's played with the Canes. 7 games. I'm not making any big, glaring, sweeping decisions about Mikko Rantanen after 7 games. So I did not find it surprising that there were reports over the weekend that the Canes have started offering Mikko Rantanen and his representation over $100 million in contract extension offers that he would hopefully sign soon. Now, for the details, we'll go to Elliot Friedman first. This is Friedman's latest news on Mikko Rantanen's contract.
I understand that during the Four Nations break, the Hurricanes met with his representatives face-to-face. They had a face-to-face conversation about where things were and where they were going, and the Hurricanes made an offer, and I believe that offer is into the 9 digits. So it's a big, big offer, and Rantanen at this point in time has said, not yes, not no. He's just said, I still need to process everything that's happened, the whirlwind, the emotion. So at this point in time, there's no answer from Rantanen, but I stress, everybody's telling me you shouldn't necessarily take that one way or the other. What has happened is teams are kind of waiting. There's a lot of talk out there, Ron, but if Rantanen's available at some point, you want to make sure you have your best assets to make a trade. And the other thing that someone said to me I should have spelled out but didn't is that if the Hurricanes are confident that they can still sign Rantanen after March the 7th, will they keep him and make a Stanley Cup run with him? So all of that is there, but they have made a big offer to Rantanen, and he has just said, look, I still need to process everything.
Now, for those of you that, just like me, when you heard that news, that specific clip, sat there and went cross-eyed trying to do math, I'll do it for you. 9 figures would be $100 million. $100 million, the most years the Canes can give is 8. So that would be, if it's exactly $100 million over 8 years, $12.5 million per year. It's a lot of money, but that's not super duper top of what everyone was thinking he wanted from Colorado. Kevin Weeks, former Cane, also spoke about that report from Friedman and others involving $100 million, and he upped it a little bit.
I'm told that number is north of $13 million, in and around between the $13 and $14 million number. And listen, it's tough right now, and I'll say this, Arda, quickly. It's been a lot for him. It's been a short time for him to get there, get acclimated, then feel comfortable, then sign a contract extension. There's a lot that's been going on. Something not dissimilar to what happened to Rod Brind'Amour, the head coach, when he got traded from Philadelphia to Carolina. It takes some time to get acclimated, but I really think that the two sides are going to continue hammering away. Let's see if they can find an area that they both believe is fair.
I was surprised how many people were going, and this is dangerous in media, but reacting to social media. How many people were surprised by that type of offer to Mikko Rantanen based on how the Canes and he have played through the 7 games that he's played with Carolina? Because I'm just gonna call it very, very plainly. The Canes are not, I would argue, not even taking the 7 games he's played for Carolina into discussion when they're deciding what to offer Mikko Rantanen. They have 10 years of NHL film of Mikko Rantanen to judge that they poured through. And I'm talking Eric Tulsky, the GM, and his entire staff prior to making the trade. They knew whether they wanted to pay that guy before the Colorado Avalanche even accepted the trade. Before they got Chicago to eat some of the salary. Before the Taylor Hall was even, before any of that, they knew they wanted to extend this guy. You don't let 7 games take back a decision and an evaluation that you made over 10 years. On a smaller scale, you'll hear me say this this week and next week. If somebody crushes the combine for the NFL draft, don't make that overrule 4 years of college football tape, right? If you watch somebody for massive amounts of time, or you watch film of somebody over a massive amount of time, and you come to a very obvious conclusion, and then they do something for a small amount of time, and you go, that doesn't add up. Don't go with the bigger sample size. Remember, Eric Tulsky, the GM for the Canes, has been pretty darn good at picking which newcomers will fit into what the Canes want to do. I can go back and find the reactions to Jack Roslovic being signed. I can go back and find the reactions to Robinson being signed. I can go back and find the reactions to some of the defensive guys, Gostisbehere being brought back. And they weren't all happy-go-lucky all the time when the signings happened, but they've played pretty well at times. I mean, how many times have we seen one of the new guys go like, well, they've matched their career high, and it was like, well, it's still January.
Still early, folks.
Like the new guys, he's got a good feel for what plays here. And by the way, Mikko Rantanen is kind of one of the players who, if he doesn't fit great with your team, might be worth it to change your team a little bit.
Yeah, the guy's a stud.
You go find the guys that work with him over time, and you tell them that. Hey, listen, if it's not working here, we're going to keep trying to find the things that will make you work here, right? It's again, I always relate it back to quarterbacking. When Aaron Rodgers moves teams, when Peyton Manning moves, when Tom Brady moves teams, they don't show up and go, all right, when Brady went to the Bucs, he didn't show up and go, all right, what's the Bucs playbook? Let me learn it. He went with like, here's my playbook. We'll see how much of your playbook we add to mine, but like we're going to work with mine. Mikko Rantanen is one of the top, 8-10 players in the NHL. If your system doesn't work with him, or your lines don't work with him, or your center doesn't work with him, you go explore all the different ways to get players that work with him just as much as he should try to work with what you're doing.
So Mark Lazarus of The Athletic actually put an article out this weekend. This is before the game against Toronto. But we all know how Eric Tulsky and the analytics and numbers and all those things. Here's some underlying numbers regarding Mikko Rantanen. Again, small sample size. This is before the game on Saturday. Rantanen leads the Hurricanes in shots per 60 minutes, individual attempts per 60, individual expected goals per 60, individual scoring chances per 60, rebounds created per 60, and takeaways per 60, all according to Natural Stat Trick. And Lazarus also says that a lot of these numbers are actually better than what he was putting up, these underlying numbers, than he was doing in Colorado. Expected goal share, up 51.86% to 63.4%. Scoring chance share also up dramatically from what it was in Colorado, from 55 to 72%. High danger chance, the percentage of that, up from 47% to 61%. So you look at all these other different numbers that he has created. Like all these underlying numbers are saying he's doing everything right. It's just the shooting percentage isn't there. His shooting percentage in Colorado earlier this season was 11.49. It's just 6.67. As Mark Lazarus said in the article, he's due. Like he's due. Like he's actually doing everything right, and he fits perfectly into what they're doing. It's just the puck hasn't found the net yet.
And that's why 7 games, they're probably not even taking it into account as far as like the counting stats, because it could be like legitimately 7 games of lower production could be a fluke. It could be a complete and total fluke.
Everyone goes through it.
Defenders or defensemen are just getting lucky, right? They're closing their eyes and swinging their stick, and it's making contact with the puck, and that can happen over 7 games. It's why they play 80-something of them.
It's also trade plays a few games, tries to adjust, then goes to play Finland, so he's got to play in that system. Now he has to come back to this one. It just,
It is a very first-class problem.
Very much so.
But he's had to adjust to Nathan McKinnon, then Sebastian Aho, then
Alexander Barkov.
then back to Aho. Like, I know it sounds awesome, but there are adjustments there.
Oh, yeah.
It's easier than adjusting to many other centers, but I'm just saying those, first-class problems are still problems. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have the starting five coming up next. Today, the starting five, by the way, is brought to you by Ritchie Law Firm. Injured, Ritchie Law is on top of it. RitchieLaw.com. Starting five up next.
Listen for the check in for the
Beautiful back cut and a two-hand jam.
don't miss the
Race to the other end. Get ready for the show.
what was that?
A reverse pull-up. My goodness. Hubbard got hit, and he made the shot.
You're home for the Final Four from San Antonio.
Cooper got it to rattle home.
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Everyone deserves a fast and reliable connection, one that helps better their everyday through the things they value most: friends and family, education and career. A connection that opens pathways to opportunity and builds roads to a better future. At Spectrum, we're committed to delivering just that every single day. Because with the right connection, anything is possible. That's Life Unlimited. That's Spectrum.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. The warm-up has begun. It'll be clear and cool tonight, 37 the low. Far warmer tomorrow, mostly sunny, our high up to 72. Partly cloudy and dry on Wednesday. Breezy, the high at 70 degrees.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 33 points today to 43,461. Market update brought to you by Enbridge Gas, formerly Dominion Energy North Carolina Gas. Dominion Energy North Carolina Gas customers are now proudly served by Enbridge Gas. Looking forward to a bright future together. To learn more, visit enbridgegas.com.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
Starting five brought to you by Richie Law. Injured? Richie Law's on top of it. RichieLaw.com bringing you today's starting five. And as always, the starting five starts with number 5.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Missed it off the heel. Brooks the rebound and throws ahead to James, who wants to attack Miles. Goes behind the back and scores!
Isaiah James with it behind the back.
NC State women's basketball. Clap it up. One time. Clap it up.
Let's go.
104-95 over Notre Dame. Win 2 overtimes. Notre Dame was number 1 in the country.
They were.
I think they fell all the way to 3rd with the loss, which actually is a compliment to NC State, right? When you lose to a good team, you don't tumble down the rankings as far. When you lose to a good team in a good game, you might only fall a spot or 2. They fell all the way to 3. Listen, it is obvious that Westmore has something cranking at NC State. And not only that, it's obvious that, the X's and O's versus Jimmy's and Joe's. I like, could it be the X's and O's or the Isaiahs and Zoes for Zoe Brooks and for Sanaya Rivers? And like, they have some legit stars, just players, right? And sometimes you see an upset happen, or sometimes you see a team that, you need to play so well as a unit, and everybody needs to show up to have a game like this happen. There are multiple players on NC State women's basketball that can just say, oh, is everyone else having an off day? Cool, I got this. And they can go drop 30-something. And that is rare at any level of basketball, to have multiple different players that can all kind of make that their bag. The ACC, it's so funny because every single time we talk about how hard up it is for the ACC men's basketball this year, there's somebody on social media sending me a message going, the women don't have it that. I'm like, yeah, I know, 100%. The women are, for as bad as the men have been, the women have been twice as good. Mm-hmm. There's really no other way to put it. I will add this. If there is one little asterisk of like, ooh, that's a little concerning, every starter for NC State played at least 43 minutes in that game.
It's quite a bit.
Quite a bit is
understatement.
Little underselling it. That's a ton, which, I guess depth would be the issue, right? That's the one thing there. But also at the same time, when everybody is playing as well as your starters are playing, and it's a game against the number 1 team in the country, and it is back and forth, obviously, because it's a 2 overtime game. You going to take someone out? Probably not. They shot 24 of 26 from the free throw line. That's how you make coaches happy.
That's good, right?
They out-rebounded. They out-assisted. They did a little bit of everything. Out-blocked. Did have more turnovers. There you go. Focus on that. Way less fouls. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Credit to NC State women's basketball. Let's jump to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, all together.
I feel great about playing football right now.
Do you, Dave Canales?
You know he does.
Do you?
You know he does.
I don't know. You know what? Actually, I'm going to give Dave Canales a compliment here.
Okay.
I do think he cares about his players as people.
100%.
I do think that, by the way, so we're going to give you some Panthers updates. Dave Canales and Dan Morgan expected to speak to the media tomorrow, I believe, their first time in a while. So we'll react to that, have the audio for you, all those sorts of things, hopefully tomorrow by the show. But there's already been some news, and Dennis, outside of Shaq Thompson, have the other names ready to.
Oh, I
to
got
roll.
you.
Shaq Thompson, franchise legend, third leading Panther in tackles in history behind only Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly. He was informed by the team that they will not be signing him in free agency and that he is he gone, essentially. I do think that bums out Dave Canales, which is a credit, right? I think there are certain coaches out there that see players as like numbers. They see them almost like we do, like Madden players. Like, who cares? I'll trade him. Like, you know, if that gets me a better player, gone. I think he cares about him. So I do think he's probably bummed that Shaq Thompson has to move on. But also, he understands the business and he knows that you have an older player, you have a team that's building. It doesn't necessarily make sense for them to stick around in each other's life. So I don't know if he feels great about playing football right now. But I think that's a compliment, right? When nobody says that you have to become numb to the tough decisions. You just have to make the tough decisions. So I think he is bummed out about it. So Shaq Thompson will not be a Panther next year. First time since 2015. That's the Super Bowl appearance year with Cam Newton's MVP year. That was Shaq Thompson's rookie year. He's been a member of the team ever since. Why don't you go ahead and list other players that'll be on the way out?
So Ian Thomas will not be back. He was also told, hey, we're not going to sign you. He's a pending free agent as well. The Ian Thomas experience, as Carolina Panthers fans fully understand, has been a whirlwind, for lack of a better term. Let's just say underwhelming. But he will not be back, Ian Thomas. And also the team released Dane Jackson, who was a defensive back they signed last offseason, had a bad, if I remember correctly, it was a quad or hamstring injury in the preseason, missed about 6 or so games of the regular season, and then came back, was kind of used a little bit as maybe a slot corner or played on the outside, but he was just kind of fell behind Shaw Smith-Wade and some others and really didn't play a whole lot as the season went along. So they saved $3.35 million in cap space by releasing Dane Jackson.
2 observations there. One on Ian Thomas, the tight end. I don't think it's an issue that Ian Thomas is being moved on from.
No, not at all.
But I do think that is a role that the team needs to fill, which is a tight end that skews more towards blocking than catching. I think that's something that this offense requires. So it's not Ian Thomas. Cool. I'm fine with that. Again, business transaction, you got to do what you got to do. But that does add another thing to the shopping list that you need to go find. I think it's not necessarily the top shelf item. Like, you can find essentially, third offensive tackles as tight ends, but you need to go fill that now. It's another thing on the to-do list.
And Thomas only played 5 games this past year.
And I think that, missing that role, I don't want Jatavian Sanders to be an inline tight end trying to crash down on defensive ends, 60% of his snaps. I want him to be able to get out in routes and run, and I don't know if Tommy Tremble necessarily is that guy either. And then the Dane Jackson. Do you know what I love about Dane Jackson being moved on from?
What's that?
When your 5th round pick makes a guy that's making a decent amount of money expendable, great pick. When Shaw Smith-Wade makes a guy that you can cut to save over $3 million in cap space, when it's your 5th round pick that's making that possible, that's fantastic. Because, let's be real, as high as you are on a 5th round pick, you're not writing their name in ink anywhere on the depth chart, right? They're a 5th round pick for a reason. But after you see them on the field for a season, if then you're like, you know what? I think we can move on from someone else who's a more veteran guy who we're paying more. That's the good stuff right there. So credit to Shaw Smith-Wade. Credit to the people that evaluated and drafted Shaw Smith-Wade. Whoever was standing on the table for that guy. I truly think the Dane Jackson and actually a few other corners are directly evaluated based on the sliding scale of, is that money for their play worth it when we could get Shaw Smith-Wade on the field for the amount of money we're paying him on a 5th round rookie contract. This is a good move by the front office. Way to go, Panthers. And again, we expect to hear from Dan Morgan and Dave Canales talking to the media tomorrow, and we'll update you on that as it happens. Let's get to number 3.
Here comes Cooper the other way. 15-20 to go. Flag. Gonna wait for help. Now he'll drop. Got by Boswell. Goes up off the window in town. He's just toying with Illinois right now.
Duke went to Madison Square Garden and absolutely tore apart Illinois. 110-67. And
it's crazy.
Well, first of all, and I said this earlier, but full context, Illinois was dealing with a bunch of stuff. They had a virus going through. They had some injuries. They're not playing as well as they were playing earlier in the year. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Everyone that played for Illinois was a Power 5 scholarship basketball player, and Duke won 110-67. If they squeaked by Illinois, I think you could kind of downgrade that and put it in perspective and say, well, they're dealing with the virus. They weren't a full team. You only won by 2, blah, blah, blah. You win 110-67, be like, fine. Let's say you got to give them 15 points to make it even.
Give them 20.
You still won by a boatload.
Give them 20. Give them 25.
Yeah,
right?
Seriously. And you saw the good of so many of the different players for Duke. You heard in that highlight, Cooper Flagg a few times, jump to passing lane, out in transition, dunk. Where when your 6'7" freshman can do it all himself and come away with a high-level look, draw a foul, make the bucket. That's why he's the number 1 prospect in the NBA draft. But then you throw in the fact, and we talked about this on Friday previewing this game. I wish we could have what's the golfers wear? The wristband where it tracks your heart rate and everything, and you sleep and it tells you.
Whoop?
Whoop.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I'm
have
talking
one.
about.
Yeah.
Whoop. I wish we could have access, because some golf tournaments do this, where they'll show the heart rate of the golfer on the screen as they're lining up a big putt. I wish we could have that for John Shire, just because I want to see what his heart rate does the first time Isaiah Evans knocks down his 3. Right? If Isaiah Evans takes his first jumper and it goes in, I imagine John Shire's heart rate skips a beat, because he's we got one, boys. It's just another option. Isaiah Evans came off the bench. What was it? 4 threes? 3? I don't even know how many it was, but he walked away with 17 points in seemingly 4 shots, which doesn't make any sense. They're a really good team, and that was, as I said on Friday, an excellent job scheduling. Neutral court, unfamiliar opponent. Middle of you have games before, games after that you're focused on. Maybe a distraction going on with your assistant coach, Jai Lucas's name, all of a sudden being pegged to be the next head coach of Miami. Right? That outside of Illinois maybe not being the juggernaut Big Ten team that you hoped they would be to test you at this point in the season, that was a NCAA tournament dress rehearsal. Right? Non-conference game, neutral court. You had to get ready. You had some distractions going on, and your team showed up. Right? Even if it's just athletes are routine. They're creatures of habit. I, as a college football player at the FCS level, so not Duke basketball at all, but I had 2 different routines. One for when we were at home and one for when we were on the road. And that even changes again in a neutral field. And that changes again, even if it's just to know what you do in a different environment like Madison Square Garden, it helps. I think it was a really good job scheduling by Duke, and then the team backed them up by smacking the heck out of their opponent. I hope they and every team that we cover, see this game and schedule them in the future. Get a random non-conference game towards the end of February. Try to make it the best team you possibly can. That's number 3. Let's get to number 2.
Taylor 10 on the ticker. Leaves it left for McNeil. Bryce fired 3. Yes, sir! Left wing, Paul McNeil, 5-0.
NC State beat Wake Forest over the weekend. And not particularly close. Maybe that's the although they Wake did take a 3-point lead, I think it was in the second half.
61-56 they took the lead, and some of us were actually sitting there up in press row going this might be where Wake pulls away. I think Wake only made one more field goal the rest of the game.
And State went, I believe, 3 possessions with a 3.
Yeah, they went on an 18-2 run.
Yeah.
Just boom.
Which is exactly when I tweeted out, wait a second. It's like Happy Gilmore. Here comes the punt. Oh, wait. Is this a new North Carolina State basketball team? Listen, Paul McNeil, to me, was the difference. Is this a new NC State? Well, the new NC State has Paul McNeil scoring 24. If he can score that efficiently and be kind of a higher volume guy as a freshman being thrown into a bigger role, it makes them a different team. Kevin Keats talked about why it may have taken this long for Paul McNeil to have a chance to fill that role. Because those of you that follow high school basketball in the state of North Carolina, Paul McNeil is a scorer. Scored 71 points in a game last year, which is the most anyone scored in North Carolina State basketball. I believe it broke a 74-year-old record. Scored 71 points in a game. This is what Kevin Keats said. Basically, this is why it took so long.
Well, he's grown, man. God, if you would have saw him the first month or two, man, what a talented high school scorer. But, couldn't guard anybody, didn't have, any interest in guarding anybody. Really wasn't making his shots, wasn't in shape. Really loved college basketball. I mean, really loved college life. NC State, like I had to bring him in at one point. It's like, man, are you partying every night? But that's what freshmen do. But the maturity that he's gotten better, and he's grown, and he's doing it through practice. And all three of our freshmen, they show up every day for about an hour before practice and get a lot of shots in and staying consistent. And obviously it's starting to pay off for him. So I'm happy for him. I trusted him, obviously, the way he was playing, and I thought he did a good job finishing the game.
I love that. I love when young athletes flip the switch. When you cover all three Triangle teams, sometimes it's like impossible not to have a story from one Triangle team spark you to another one because it just happens. JJ Redick tells a great story back when he was a podcaster, before he was the head coach of Luka and LeBron. When he was a podcaster, he used to tell a story of there was an off season, maybe after his sophomore year, freshman year at Duke, where he told his parents he was going to stay on campus and take summer school and work out, and he told the coaches that he was going to go home and work out at home, and for, I don't know, a handful of weeks. And what he actually did was stayed around campus and just basically lived the frat life, and the coaches didn't know where he was, and eventually, that runs out. People catch you. And I think it was Chris Collins basically went and knocked on the door of whatever apartment couch he was crashing on and was like, nope, you and me, buddy. The rest of the off season, we're going to work. And the light went on for JJ, and it got to the point where by the time he was by the end of his college career, he was Team USA select and all that, and Kobe was looking at his workouts on how to shoot better. So I'm not saying Paul McNeil was that drastic in either direction, but if the light bulb goes off, you can become a completely different player when you realize what it takes to be successful at the level that you're currently playing. If that happens for NC State, if that happens for Paul McNeil, that makes the roster a completely different roster. It's the you know what? I'm going to add it to our dictionary. The wide receiver one phenomena, which is you might have wide receivers that are, you're like, man, we have terrible wide receivers. But what you actually have is a wide receiver 2 that you're asking to be a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 3 that you're asking to be a wide receiver 2, and they can't fill those roles. So then all you need to do is go get a wide receiver 1, and then everybody kicks into a role that they can play well. Now all of a sudden you have a great wide receiving core. Same can happen at North Carolina State. Right now what they have is a bunch of guys that are being asked to play roles that they're not suited for. Michael O'Connell can't just be a set-up point guard, a pass-first point guard, because he has to score some. And Dontrez Styles can't just be a scorer that plays off of somebody else. He's got to create because they don't have the creator. If Paul McNeil can be that main scorer, everybody else can slide into the roles that are better suited for them. Little wide receiver 1 phenomena. Add that to our dictionary. That's number 2. How about number 1?
The one!
As Lubin has it high post. Handoff to Cadeau. Lobs it back to Lubin. What a violent finish on a beautiful play.
UNC smoked Virginia over the weekend. Last week they smoked NC State. Before that, they beat Syracuse. Wouldn't call it a smoked, but they got the win. So 3 straight wins. They go into they go into tonight's game at Florida State on a 3-game win streak. UNC has to continue fighting the same fight they've been fighting. We see it in sports all the time. Every level, every different sport, where a team struggles and they finally start fighting back with like, nobody believes in us. It's us against the world. Then that works, right? Whatever part of that mindset clicks with them and they reel off 3, 4, 5 straight wins. And then what happens? People start to believe in them, and then they go, all right, cool, we're back. Now we don't have to have that chip on our shoulder. And then it's like, well, actually, you do, because that's part of the reason why it was working. If UNC is good with their back against the wall, which, by the way, 3 games ago they weren't playing very well. Their back was kind of against the wall. They started becoming the butt of jokes. People started overanalyzing their coaching comments and everything else. If that's what triggered you to be a better team, you have to keep it that way. You have to stay in that mindset. Hubert Davis, stop answering questions you don't want to answer and keep doing that, because you've been doing that while you've been playing well. Right? If somebody wants to talk about a GM hire, if someone wants to talk about why you didn't have a recruiting coordinator, whatever, director of this, a director of that, say, no, I'm talking about basketball. I want to coach, because that's what you've done the last 3 days. 3 games, I should say. Florida State, by the way, road game, ACC. I know Florida State isn't what it always is, but Florida State, I saw this earlier today. I saw this stat. They rank as the 4th tallest team in the country. 4th tallest team in the country. What has UNC's Achilles heel been this entire year? They don't have a true big. They're missing Armando Bacot. Well, Florida State is the 4th tallest team in the country and have 2 separate 6'10" forwards that play a ton. So you better, if you are Drake Powell playing the 3, if you are Jalen Withers and you want to continue shooting the lights out from distance on offense, if you are Jalen Washington, if you are Van Allen Lubin, you better bring your lunch pail to the defensive end of this game. Van Allen Lubin is an undersized big. I think when he and Withers have been out there playing together with Powell at the 3, the roster is different. It looks different. You are bigger. That would be Elliot Cadeau on the bench, by the way, perimeter-wise in that particular lineup. Ian Jackson, R.J. Davis on the perimeter. That unit is different than what UNC has been playing this year. But in order for that to work, Van Allen Lubin is going to have to defend somebody probably 6'10" or taller. Drake Powell is going to have to help. If Seth Trimble gets in there, he's going to have to rebound at 6'3" against guys that are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 6'11". It's the struggle of the way their roster is assembled is simply guys are going to have to play big sometimes. Not every night, right? Because every team's not going to be as big as Florida State. But there it is. Or the other option is your perimeter guys can take over, right? There's always that. If Ian Jackson and R.J. Davis want to put on a fireworks show shooting from distance and draw all those big guys out, and Drake Powell wants to draw those guys out and shoot, that's one thing. But it's always, as UNC has learned this year multiple times over, it's risky to just depend on, like, we'll shoot the ball well from 3, because if/when that doesn't happen, you need to have something else you can fall
Live
back
by
on.
the sword, die by the sword, right? Live by the 3, die by the 3.
Except when it's die by the 3, die by the 3, die by the 3. Oh, look, we lived by the 3. Die by the 3, die by the 3, die. You might want to, I don't know, get a different weapon of some kind. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We do have to grab our numbers game contestants, but before we do that, here's Dennis Cox.
Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Law Tigers. Folks, you may have been hearing me saying this for a couple weeks now, but now I'm going to, if you haven't, lock in. I need you to pay attention. I need you to go to caniacsbike.com. Again, caniacsbike.com. Well, why should I go to caniacsbike.com? Well, because the Carolina Hurricanes, Law Tigers, Tobacco Road, Harley-Davidson, and Shiny Side Paint, they're all teaming up once again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Pretty simple to enter, folks. Again, just go to caniacsbike.com. That's where you can enter to win this custom-built motorcycle. It can be yours, folks, as long as you enter in to win. And you might be thinking, well, I probably have some time to enter, right, if I forget to do it. Yeah, you have until April 6th, but, folks, we're almost at March. We're almost at March already. Don't wait any longer. Go to caniacsbike.com. It's going to be given away on the ice during the last home game of the year. Go to caniacsbike.com. Think about the beautiful weather that we have coming right now, folks. Cruising around on your own motorcycle. Just saying. caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9. The Fan needs numbers game contestants. The prize for today, tickets to see Luke Bryan.
Okay.
At Coastal Credit Union Music Park this June. Luke Bryan tickets. Country Girl. Shake it for me. No? That was played over a loudspeaker a lot when I was in college. A lot of timeouts with Country Girl. Go ahead and call 919-860-5326. We need 2 contestants to play the numbers game. The winner will get a pair of tickets to see Luke Bryan at Coastal Credit Union Music Park. Again, the number to call, 919-860-5326. That's 919-860-5326. Numbers game coming up next.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a late-night craving for in-depth analysis on the Carolina Hurricanes and their latest game, their latest win, their pursuit of the Stanley Cup? Well, I can quench your thirst. I can feed that appetite on the Canes Corner podcast, the morning after edition, which drops the morning after every Hurricanes game. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com. And get ready for the workday.
North Carolina ranks among the top 10 states in the U.S. for human trafficking. Abusers often isolate victims from friends and family.
I didn't think I could escape, but then I found Project Fight. They helped me rebuild my life.
Project Fight offers comprehensive case management to support survivors with legal aid, housing, and emotional care. If you or someone you know needs help, call 919-390-6731. That's 919-390-6731. Or visit wakearmy.org.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. We have Luke Bryan tickets to give away, and we're going to do so with the numbers game. The numbers game, as always, starts with a couple of contestants on the phone lines. We have Micah in Morrisville and Adam in Raleigh. They'll have to answer a question. Dennis, our producer and judge, will decide which answer is his favorite. That person will get to go first, and then we'll jump into the numbers game. Micah in Morrisville, you're up first. Are you ready to answer a question? Micah just dropped.
Micah, call back in.
So we'll go to Adam in Raleigh. Adam in Raleigh, are you there, ready to answer a question?
Yes, sir.
All right, the question is, with today being Monday, what was the highlight of your past weekend? What was the best part of your weekend? But since we're a sports show, keep it sports related.
That sounds good. I watched, this is the first women's basketball game I watched all year, and it was NC State, Notre Dame. Great game, electric finish.
Part of me wants to say, I don't know how you're going to top that. You stepped into a pretty good one there. All right, Adam, you're good. So we have Micah back online. All right, cool. Adam, wait a minute. We'll see if your answer gets chosen. Micah in Morrisville, are you there?
I don't know what happened, but I'm here.
All right. Well, now that we have you hooked up, we'll ask the same question. What was the highlight of your weekend? But because we're a sports show, keep it sports related.
Okay. Well, first, welcome back.
Thank
My
you.
highlight, I would say, is NHL hockey just getting back, and it's a day closer to Whalers night, and that's always a blast. That's on Thursday. So, yeah.
You're a fan of the Whalers gear and everything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a change-up. I don't like the goal song, but it's cool just changing everything up. They need it, so.
We might have to put you on a phone with our program director / the host of Next Up, Paul Ihander. He's got some thoughts on the Whalers stuff that could be fun to see you two go back forth. Dennis, the options are the NC State women's win over Notre Dame, or you just heard from Micah, NHL getting back underway, and it's one game closer to Whalers night.
This is actually a little bit of a difficult one. I enjoy Whalers night very much, but going back to the weekend, I would have to go with Adam with the NC State women's basketball. Again, that's a little bit more local, and that was just a heater of a game that really had a lot of eyeballs on it, a lot of people talking about it. So I'm going to go with NC State women on this one, and going to go with Adam.
All right, Adam and Raleigh, you get to go first. Micah, you know the deal. Go ahead and wait there on the phone lines. You'll have your chance. Adam, are you ready to pick a category?
Yes, sir.
All right, the categories are NFL memorable combine players, so players that put together a memorable performance at the NFL Combine. NFL players who were not invited to the Combine, so these are players that obviously went on to long NFL careers despite not being invited to the NFL Combine. NBA players, not their real name, so players that go by a different name than their government name, or NHL players, Hurricanes only.
Let's go NFL not invited to the Combine.
All right, we have a list of players here that did not get the Combine invitation. I'll give you the team and the player. Give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. Any questions before we get started?
Nope.
All right, your time will start when you hear the horn. Tyreek Hill, Miami Dolphins.
10.
Correct. Antonio Gates, San Diego Chargers.
81.
Incorrect. Adam Thielen, Carolina Panthers.
19.
Correct. Julian Edelman, New England Patriots.
11.
Correct. Victor Cruz, New York Giants.
80.
Correct. Antonio Gates, San Diego Chargers.
85.
Correct. What time?
All right.
We had 21 seconds.
21 seconds. Rolled through it. Needed 2 shots at Antonio Gates, but you got there eventually. 21 seconds. That is a solid performance. Adam, all I can say is go ahead and stay on the line, and hopefully it holds up. All right?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Micah in Morrisville, are you there?
Yikes, yeah.
I can tell you this. Micah was a member of our Numbers Game Live last year, and I believe he's already been invited this year. So he is a multiple-time perfect score winner. So this one's still interesting. It's not a lot of times when somebody gets perfect score in the first one, I'm like, all right, let's go through the motions. There's still something real here for Micah to play for. Micah, you ready to pick a category?
Yeah.
NFL players who had memorable NFL combines, NBA players that go by a name other than their government name, or NHL Hurricanes only?
Canes only.
Had a feeling. I will give you the team and the player. You give me the jersey number as quickly as you can. 30 seconds on the clock. One pass if you need it. You do need all 5 to win. Any questions before we jump in?
No, I'm good.
All right. Your time will start when you hear the horn. Seth Jarvis, Carolina Hurricanes.
24.
Correct. Jacob Slavin, Carolina Hurricanes.
74.
Correct. Joel Edmondson, Carolina Hurricanes.
6.
Correct. Saku Menelayan, Carolina Hurricanes.
8.
Correct. Eddie Lack, Carolina Hurricanes.
31.
Correct. Goodness gracious.
14 and a half seconds.
14. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that an all-time record?
Oh, it might be, actually. We have to go check the perfect score fastest time was 15. So that beats it. 14 and a half.
So somebody, I feel, Micah, I'm going to celebrate with you, but give me a second. I feel bad for Adam. Adam, that is a brutal beat, buddy.
This is unreal.
That is.
I thought my day was about to be amazing.
That is absolutely unreal.
Wow.
I'm still impressed by you, but unfortunately, and I don't know how.
Stay on the line, though. Stay on the line, Adam.
Stay on the line. I don't know what that means. Dennis got something for you, so stay on the line, okay?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Micah in Morrisville, that was lights out. That was really impressive.
Thanks. I got really nervous. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I'm screwed. But
did Saku Menelayan give you any kind of issue?
No, I loved him, dude. He's the kind of player that I want. He's the Brendan Lemieux knockoff. He answered the bell in that series all the time.
Saku might be a little insulted. You're like, he's Lemieux knockoff. But hey, I appreciate you for playing. That was wild. 14 and a half seconds, and that was not an easy run through. The first two, I'll say, were kind of gimmies for you. Seth Jarvis, Jacob Slavin. But other than that, you had to do some thinking. So congratulations. You get the tickets for Luke Bryan. Go ahead and stay on the line. You know how this goes.
Thanks.
Wow. Adam might move to like the SVP bad beats all-time top.
I mean, to do it in 21 seconds.
And lose by 6 seconds.
6.5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. I hope Adam calls in again and tries. Whew. Man, that's tough. Again, the prize for today was Luke Bryan tickets. He is coming to Coastal Credit Union Music Park on June 7th. So this week we'll be giving away Luke Bryan tickets. So if you didn't get through today, if you didn't win today, or if you're Adam and you got a perfect score and still didn't win, you can call in any day this week. Right about this time, we're going to continue with the numbers game, giving away Luke Bryan tickets. I mean, to roll through Joel Edmondson, Eddie Lack, Saku Menelayan, it's impressive. By the way, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I love the numbers game. It's so fun. You know how you always got the feeling that like Alex Trebek would be a really good contestant at Jeopardy? I think I'd be pretty good at the numbers game. There are a dozen, maybe 20 contestants out there that I would be wildly not confident going up against in the numbers game. Like, I think I'm an above average player, but there are some out there that are just, I don't know, it's a photographic memory thing or something, and Micah's definitely one of them. Micah in hockey rolls through it. Absolutely rolls through it. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Will take a break, but next up, bracketologists. What are they saying about the teams that we cover? Who's in? Who's out? Who's on the bubble? Who's popping the bubble? And everything else. Stick around.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
What city's fan base are you rooting against the most?
Kansas City.
They just lost. Why do you have to root against them now?
Because they've been at the top and they let you know about it every single chance that they get.
Well, they can't say nothing about it now. They lost. They got embarrassed in the Super Bowl.
They sure did. But I'm just saying prior to that.
You still rooting against them?
Yeah, big time.
Mornings from 6 to 9 on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Hey, daydreamer. Did we catch you thinking about your dreams? With Wells Fargo Premier, a team can help you plan for them. So let's imagine your biggest dream. Not the easy one, the one behind it. The one you work towards every day and every night. Can you see it? Then we can help you plan for it. Ready to start planning for your dreams? You can at wellsfargo.com/getpremier.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Okay, I have to tell you. I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town, with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now, when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats to your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
As Lubin has it high post, handoff Picadeau, lobs it back to Lubin. What a violent finish on a beautiful play.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. Before we dive into Bubble Watch, Bubble Bursting, Bubble Living, HGTV's new song, Bubble Front Housing. New show, Bubble Front Housing. Right, there was Waterfront, List It, Love It, whatever.
Bubble Front Housing?
Bubble Front. That does seem like quite a few ACC teams have bought real estate there, and they just stay.
I'd say so.
They stopped renting. You know what I mean? They're putting down roots. Before we do that, Wolfpack Weekly with Kevin Keats, head coach NC State men's basketball, is about 15 minutes away, right at the top of the hour, 6 o'clock, Wolfpack Weekly here on 99.9 The Fan. So you'll get more college basketball immediately after this show today, and get ready to enjoy that. Let's talk bracketology real quick. So ESPN put out a Bubble Watch article earlier today. I found it fascinating for a few reasons. One, they have 3 locks. This isn't the fascinating part. I'm saying for the ACC, Duke, Clemson, Louisville, they put 100% in. That's a good floor for the ACC. At times, 3 was looking like a maximum. So 3 locks, fantastic. The interesting part is what happened next. I believe at least one more ACC team will get in, the way it's structured now. The hard part is the ESPN has broken it down into categories. Every conference has their locks. Those are the 3 I just told you. Then there's a category that's called should be in. Then there's a category that's called work to do. Then there's a category that's called outside looking in. The ACC has 3 locks and nobody in the should be in category. In the work to do category, they have SMU, Wake Forest, North Carolina, and Pittsburgh.
Oh, really? Pitt's in that?
Pitt's in there with a 6% chance to make it.
Is there work to do win the ACC tournament?
North Carolina has a 31% chance, Wake 47%, and SMU 62%.
Okay.
I believe at least 3 of those. It should be like a I'll go wrestling with it, like a cage match.
Okay.
Like it should be one of those, the last one standing wins, and it should be that brutal. They should be scratch and clawing. They should be leaving it all out there on the floor. They should lead the league in rug burns, or court burns, I should say. They should be diving for every loose ball, pushing, shoving all the way up to the whistle. Because with 3 locks, I think the ACC gets 4, maybe 5 teams in. If it's 4, you get to decide if it's you or not. If it's 5, you get to decide if you're one of the ins or one of the outs. So looking at their games coming up, right? SMU plays at Cal. That comes into effect, right? If SMU beats Cal, North Carolina has to make a statement against Florida State tonight, right? If SMU on Wednesday beats Cal, Wake Forest has to smoke Virginia to make up ground. You have to start looking at your opponents. If you wanted to do the whole, like, we're just going to focus on us, we're not worried about anyone else, you had to win a higher percentage of your games up to this point. You don't have that luxury. You are in a race now, right? It's I don't even know if this is true, but I've watched a few documentaries on Steve Prefontaine, so I feel like I'm an expert, like, miler for all of you out there. There's kind of 2 different ways to run the mile, right? One is you just say, I run a better time than everybody else. I'm going to run my race, and I'm going to go do it. The other is to race, right? The other is to play the mind game. It's to try to kick it. It's to push the tempo, slow the tempo, do the whole thing. Like, you have to now race. You have to make sure you win. You have to watch the scoreboard around the league and make sure nobody else is doing more than you to get in, because all of you aren't. Right? Duke, Clemson, and Louisville, to an extent, they don't have to scoreboard watch. Right? They've done enough up to this point to focus on them, and as long as they're doing what they need to do to be prepared for the ACC and NCAA tournament, they'll be fine. Wake Forest and UNC, like, part of their strategy now is hoping they get some help. Part of their strategy now is hoping there aren't a bunch of bracket busters in other conference tournaments. It's not a place you want to be, but it's a place you found yourself. North Carolina looking at that Duke game to end the year as an opportunity to really make some waves. Wake Forest looking at that game at Duke, second to last of the year, as a real opportunity to make some waves.
Same thing.
Duke is the trophy fish out there in the ACC, as they have been all year. But much more easily said than done. Like, oh, we'll just beat Duke to pass everybody. You know, you got to beat Duke to do that, and that's not easy.
Yeah, let us know how that works out.
You ready for something that's going to sound mean, but I promise you I'm not trying to be mean.
Okay.
Duke in. Wake, UNC, NCAA tournament bubble. NC State is also kind of on the bubble.
Oh.
It's a different bubble.
Yeah.
It's the ACC tournament bubble. For the first time, we actually have this kind of bubble happening right now. And Dennis, you talked about it earlier. There wasn't really a point in the ACC history where state games at this moment would matter a ton. You'd be fighting for whether you're going to be the 15th seed or 14th or maybe 13th if you win out seed in the ACC tournament. But this year, if the season were to end right now, NC State is not in the ACC tournament. I guess you could call them a bubble team for the ACC tournament because they can still play their way in. As we just bring up the schedule here. State is 4-12 in conference. They are behind Syracuse and Cal, who are both 5-11, and they would be in the ACC tournament. And
Boston College also sitting at 4-12 as well.
Yes. And looking at the schedule, NC State does play Syracuse Wednesday.
Yep.
So there is an element of you do own your destiny.
There's the playoff game.
If you win out, I believe they're in.
They should be. With the head-to-head over Syracuse and their one matchup, they should, unless Syracuse pops off and wins a bunch of games. But yes.
Exactly. You need the help, you need the hope, all that other stuff. So we're gonna discuss it. I don't put this out there lightly, but it's close to a must-win game for NC State. And it might be a must-win game. I'm just not double stamping a triple stamp.
I will. I'll do it. I'll say it.
On the road at Syracuse, on the road at Georgia Tech, versus Pittsburgh, on the road at Miami, it might be you have to win 3 out of 4 to get in. That's the situation you've put yourself in. Right? As brutal as it just sounded, having the bracketology NCAA tournament conversation about teams like UNC and Wake and SMU, a very similar conversation can be said about NC State in the ACC tournament, in that if you wanted to not worry about it, you didn't have to win a ton more games. You just had to win 2 or 3 more games, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. But now you found yourself here. You've backed yourself into a corner. It's probably 3 out of 4 to get in.
And then you're also looking at Cal and Boston College. So Cal this coming Wednesday plays at home against SMU, a team you just mentioned that's on the bubble trying to get into the NCAA tournament. SMU beat them earlier this season 76-65. But Boston College plays at Cal this coming weekend, which is the same type situation. You might even eventually get where you get Cal, Boston College, NC State, Syracuse all tied with the same record going for 2 spots. And that's where things can get really messy because Cal also has to finish the year again at Louisville and at Notre Dame, which is going to be difficult games to win as well, especially Louisville. So you might get 4 teams all jumble for the last 2 spots, which, again, makes these games actually somewhat interesting, as bad as these teams are.
Yeah, you're right. And that I think that would open up, if you go 2-2 down the stretch, you could end up with tiebreakers getting you in.
Mm-hmm.
I would, if I were a somebody who was within the NC State program, I would make it very obvious that different than the NCAA tournament where you have to impress a committee, right? Because making the conference tournament is strictly about wins and losses in conference. You do control your destiny. It is an inch or a mile situation. If you win these games, it doesn't matter if they're pretty, ugly, if you win them by 1 point in overtime or if you win them by 30 points in regulation. You do control your destiny a bit here as far as making it into the ACC tournament. And then, as NC State proved last year, once you get into the tournament, anything can happen, right? Once you get into the dance, crazier things have happened. So you just have to focus on you. It's just wild to think that there's even a bubble for the ACC tournament.
I know, it's weird to think about.
And the fact that the defending champion might be on that bubble is absolutely ridiculous. The defending ACC champion is on the ACC tournament bubble. And it does show. I said this on Friday. I'll say it again. It shows how rough this season has been for State. Because we're talking about like teams playing Virginia Tech and going, and that's a game you should win. Virginia Tech has 3 more conference wins than NC State.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, UNC is playing Florida State. They have to have that one, especially against an opponent the quality of Florida State. Florida State has 3 more conference wins than NC State. That's how far they've fallen. Miami is darn near historically bad. They're within 2 games in conference of NC State. It's really, their coach quit in the middle of the year. There's some tough things going on there. Before we pack things up and let Wolfpack Weekly take over at the top of the hour, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, 99.9 The Fan. Personal favor on that one. As I say often, we work hard to put stuff on YouTube, so times outside of 3 and 6, you can still get the content you love about your favorite teams, as well as the Adam Gold Show, which airs before this one, and a bunch of other stuff. That's going on. I know the line's lit up for Luke Bryan tickets in the numbers game. All week we have Luke Bryan tickets at 5:30 if you have to win the numbers game to get them. But bookmark that if you're into country music and you want to see that concert. You just have to call in and win. Shout out to Adam, who had a perfect score and lost today in the numbers game. That stinks, but I respect the hustle. We'll be back tomorrow to break down the UNC game. There's Duke playing tomorrow. There's so much college basketball. Canes are playing tomorrow. Get your first goal scorer predictions ready. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great night.
Listen for the Did He Just Do That?
Johnson trying to step back for a 3. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damas from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.